We're back, ladies and gentlemen. Just looking at the headlines here. 3 dead in Cloquet, Minnesota, including suspected shooter. Is that ever going to end? I mean, it's just so sad, unbelievably sad. Is this another school shooting type of deal, or I don't even look at it?
Is it a motel?
Oh, is it a motel? Okay.
Yep.
3 dead in Cloquet, Minnesota, including suspected shooter. I don't know. You could go over this every day, and why did they do it? And there's never a good reason they did it. People are not. First of all, let me just point something out to you. Okay, here we go. So everything sucks every time you turn on the news. Everything is horrible, horrendous. We're about to die. And I like Bill Weir, by the way. Bill Weir is a really good guy. He used to come on the Q all the time. He works at CNN, and he came on this morning to talk about the fact that we're all at the edge of death with the temperatures going up. Said the temperatures go up another 1.5 degrees. We're in massive, big trouble and all the rest of it. Now, I understand you get good ratings by scaring the shit out of people. They tune in to, I better learn more about this, and they tune in again. But they never mention where the pollution and the heat would be coming from. And by the way, whose thermometer did you use to determine that 1.5 degrees is going to kill us?
Yeah.
Explain that to me.
There's a lot of speculation. There's a lot of variables in that sentence.
And where are the pollutants on this planet?
From people?
Yes, all in the Eastern Hemisphere. The Eastern Hemisphere is a shithole, and now we have to pay the price for it. Because what do they have? Don't they have 4 times as many people living in the Eastern Hemisphere as they do in the Western Hemisphere? Isn't that about right?
I guess I know it's a huge landmass compared to us.
It's got nothing to do with the landmass, sister. It's got to do with they don't give a shit. They pollute so much it is unbelievable.
Oh, really?
Oh, God.
Oh, okay.
Somebody bring up a picture of China. All you're going to see is smoke coming out of stacks. That's about it.
Yeah. Well, if you look up the world population for the top 10 countries, you've got China, India, then the U.S., but Indonesia, Pakistan, Nigeria, Bangladesh, a lot of Russia, a lot of Eastern Hemisphere countries.
Right. Well, 90% so far from what you read.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. There's this chart too that talks about air pollution compared to every California city.
Mm-hmm.
And it's wild. The air pollution is, it's insane compared to it.
See, what they're going to do now, and I can guarantee you this, if the other side, the far right, wants to fight back, they're going to point out that all the pollution in this country comes from Democratic cities. But they're all Democratic cities because they're so big. They won't point that part out, though. They'll just say, well, it's Los Angeles, San Francisco, New York, Chicago. They're the ones polluting this country. Well, that's because that's where most of the population is. Correct?
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Mm-hmm. But see, they don't ever mention that kind of thing. So once again, and I don't know how they do this. And I don't get upset by this stuff. I used to back in the day. But I just, I looked at it this morning. I'm like, yeah, okay, I like Bill Weir. Good guy. We can't get up another 1.5 degrees or we're all going to die and blah, blah, blah. I was trying to think of some way we could reach out to these people in the Eastern Hemisphere and say, hey, why don't we do this? Why don't you stop poisoning the air in the world? Because didn't China just built 10 new coal plants, something like that?
That's news to me, but I do have a way to reach them. I have an idea.
Good. I'm ready.
We send Tevin as a representative on behalf of us, the show, the country. Just send him over there with a sign that says, talk to me about pollution. And then he'll have that solved by probably 2 Sundays from now.
Yeah, absolutely not. I watched a documentary where they're conning a bunch of people out of money, and they ended up somehow getting invited over to South Korea to pitch their illegitimate business plan to a bunch of business people. And the guy was like, yeah, I just hopped on a plane and went over to South Korea. And I was like, absolutely not. I'm not leaving, especially if it's a scam. I'm not leaving the country to go talk to business job.
Well, I understand that. But like I said, I used to, get very sad about that stuff. And then I kept reading it. And I did a lot of research on it and came up with where the pollution's actually coming from. And look, everybody needs to do a better job. Like I said, Catherine and I have an electric stove, and we have 2 I have a full electric vehicle. She's got a hybrid. I mean, we're doing everything that we can. Then we find out these electric cars are not great. Mine's great. But then again, I don't have to travel long distances. I don't know that I'd want to drive up to like Fargo in my vehicle. Well, I got enough mileage to make it up there. I guess Fargo would be okay, but much further than that, it's kind of a problem. So yeah, I mean, a lot of people are doing, recycle and separate everything out. Catherine and I, well, mostly Catherine. I'm not taking any credit for it. It's Catherine. She makes sure that everything gets recycled. We don't leave crap laying around. I just went for a walk after seeing that story. I went for a walk, just kind of, I do every morning, make me feel better.
Yeah.
Mhm.
On my walk, I spotted 5, not 1, 2, 3, or 4, but 5 different piles of garbage in the ditch. People just drive by and throw their shit out the window.
That
It's
blows my
unbelievable.
mind.
Mhm.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
And
Brittany,
the communal dumpster, though.
What's that?
That's the communal dumpster.
Well,
Like,
apparently it is. Yeah, absolutely. Apparently it is. But see, you and I can live the cleanest lives we possibly can. But if they keep doing that, you and I aren't going to make any difference at all.
Yeah, it blows my mind too, because like I can see how people, they can ignore obvious like things when they're polluting or whatever,
Yeah,
right? Like you're
yep.
smoking or whatever you're driving, but you're throwing something in probably a neighborhood you live in.
Absolutely.
And like, what? Why would you want to wake up to that there? I mean, it just blows my mind.
One other tip on the whole deal. Every bit of the cups, the bags is a fast food company.
Yeah.
Every one of them. It's like, really? You buy your cheap ass breakfast over wherever, and then you throw the shit in the ditch so it pollutes. So basically, you got it all covered there. That's all I'm saying. Good for you.
There is something very, and this is like, I am not an unhinged driver, but when I watch somebody throw something out of their car window,
Oh.
I just think if I could get caught up to that person to just do this, like a big finger shake, you boo.
The
Like I
finger
want
shake
to,
is,
yeah, you knock it off because it's so insane watching them
is
throw a whole meal out the window.
No, they do. And I saw 5 of them now I walked 2 miles, so it was a mile out and a mile back. So along a mile stretch, I saw 3 on the way out and 2 on the way back. It's because I'm on the other side of the road on the way back, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it's just, why would you do that? Because wherever you're going, I guarantee you there's a trash can right there.
Yeah, obviously.
And most of them now are recycling too. You can either recycle or there's trash and recycling. Most places, not a lot, not like 90%, but I would say about 50% of them have those bins now where you can recycle and throw your trash away.
Yeah.
And again, let me make it very clear. I like Bill Weir a lot. And he was a guy doing the story on CNN this morning. But these companies will now do anything for ratings, and scaring people is one way to get huge ratings. I mean, you guys know that, right? When you're feeling uneasy or unhappy, or you're just, you hear this bad news, you're going to tune in to try to, well, did it get better today? Is there anything I can do? Yeah, people need to pay much more attention to what they're doing. Don't pollute. What the hell's wrong with you? There are little children out there that would like to grow up with fresh air. That would be really nice.
Yeah. Don't pollute. And then also, I think, like, when you're telling us that, hey, the earth can't go up 1.5 degrees.
Correct.
Tell the big companies that have these huge smokestacks that are polluting, a lot more than, somebody throwing their McDonald's wrapper out. Don't throw your McDonald's wrapper out the window, but also, like, there's some people doing some things that are a lot more heinous than the McDonald's wrapper.
Oh, I don't know if it's a lot more heinous. I'll put it all on the same level. Do not pollute at all. How about that?
Yeah.
I mean, we're going to pollute as beings. That animals pollute, I suppose. I don't know. I don't know what the hell the deal is, but I just and like I said, I used to get pissed off about this kind of thing, but I don't anymore. What it makes me do is focus on my own life, and I just talked to Catherine about this. By the way, Andy came in and did a complete redo on the studio here, and it sounds much, much better on my end. It sounds great. So some of the things we've been hitting might have come from this end, but Andy fixed it all. But then I had to get Catherine to reset the printer because he didn't reset the printer. You don't want me anywhere near electronics. I can destroy something with one push of a button. I've done it before, and I could do it again. Not intentionally.
I've seen you do it.
Not intentionally, but that's just the way it goes, ladies and gentlemen. Speaking of just a guy, every time he opens his yapper, the pollution comes out like there's no tomorrow. These just horrendous attacks on sports figures. Please welcome Judd.
Thank you very much. It's great to be here. I see myself as a light of positivity. I don't know what you're talking about. I think I'm the most positive guy there is.
You are a beacon of positivity. There is no question about that. You and Phil both, I got to be honest with you. Just doing a phenomenal job. There's no question about it. But no, we were just talking this morning that I was jumping around on I go to like 4 different news channels, and one of them's going after the Secretary of Defense that just disappeared for 5 days. Did you see that story?
No, I didn't see that story.
Apparently he was very ill. They took him to the hospital and then didn't tell anybody the Secretary of Defense was out of and nobody noticed he was gone. That's a problem. When you don't even notice he's gone, that's a problem.
It sounds like a sitcom.
It does, doesn't it?
Hey, no one knew he was gone.
I don't know the guy. I don't know what he's doing. Look, this government stuff. I just love these speeches they're making now. They're making fun of each other's speech impediments, and they're, oh my God, we're all going to die if you don't listen. I'm here to warn you, and I'm just trying to, it's not about me, it's about you. But if you don't elect me, you're all going to die. It's like, so it is really about you.
It's basically become, and this has been true for probably, a couple of elections at least now. It's essentially become wrestling.
Yeah,
like these attack ads, not fit to serve in office. It's like off the top turnbuckle. It's just
it is the top turnbuckle. You're absolutely right. I used to love that so much. By the way, back when the AWA was a big deal back in the day, when Vern Gagne was live and all the rest of it, we used to have tons of wrestlers come on. And when you have a wrestler on, all you have to do is sit and be quiet because there's nowhere for you to speak. That's just how it is.
Oh yeah, they're great. That's what they do. So which guys came on?
Oh God, Hawk.
Do you remember?
Came on. Jesse Ventura. Yeah, Hawk and Animal. Jesse Ventura came on. Greg Gagne Greg is a good friend of mine.
Yeah.
But all the big ones, Nick Bockwinkel. I'm going all the way back now. Vern Gagne was on several times.
Oh yeah.
And I'm glad he didn't give me the pile driver when he was 100. That was good.
Oh. Yeah, that would not have been good. Yeah.
It was not a good story. You remember that story, don't you?
I think you've told it before. Yeah.
Yeah, Vern took somebody deep in the retirement home. But I'm not kidding you. It's just the world now seems like all-star wrestling because no matter what channel you're on, you're either in peril or you're going to die any minute now. So you better stay tuned to us to make sure that you don't die.
How do you watch that stuff is my question.
I have to. It's my job to know everything that's going on. Oh, you think these other 3 are going to do anything and get off their ass to do anything else? Why would they do that?
I'm so glad I watch sports. You see that? That's the great thing about sports. That's the great thing. You can turn it off when it's done, and it might slightly piss you off, but ultimately it really doesn't mean a whole lot.
I'm going to tell you one quick Crusher story. You guys are too young to remember the Crusher, I would imagine. The Crusher was the quintessential all-star wrestler.
Okay.
He's one of these guys that talk like this. As a matter of fact, I think he invented talking like this. He comes out and he's got, Brittany, one of those long boats that you kind of lay in to tan. I think they used to put like even a little skim of water on them and you'd lay in it. You know what I mean? They're kind of like, they look like a little boat, only they're only about 4 inches deep.
You're not talking about a tanning booth.
No, this is the ones that you used to be able to get them and lay in, like and put them across a lawn chair, and then I don't know whatever.
Oh, okay.
But he comes out with one of those under his right arm, and he's got a 28-ounce framing hammer in his left hand.
What?
And he comes out, he goes, and Marty O'Neill, who did the interview, and he kind of talked like this, ladies and gentlemen, and of course he talked like this because everybody else talked like this. So he goes, we're coming out right now. The Crusher's coming out the door, ladies and gentlemen. It's going to be unbelievable. He's got some big news. He told me he's got big news. Crusher, you're here. I see you've got some items with you. What's the big news? What are you doing today? Well, Marty, I got my boat right here. As you can see, it's a beautiful boat. It's very, very expensive boat, by the way. Don't even think you could afford this. Those things were like $10, right? And I got my framing hammer, the 28-ounce framing hammer. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go to Lake Minnetonka, not Minnetonka, but Lake Minnetonka. I'm going to Lake Minnetonka. I have a secret fish call, which only I know about. I'm going to lean over the side of my beautiful boat, do the secret signal, and when the big ones come to the top, I'm going to hit them over the head with my framing hammer. Now that's entertainment, isn't it?
That it's like a improv exercise where they give you 2 items and they're like, okay, make a wrestling speech about these 2 items.
Go cut a promo, Crusher. Here's your 2 items for the day. Tomorrow, it's like the Macho Man. He used like coffee creamer and stuff like that. Just like random things they find in the back before walking out. Yeah.
God, I got to tell you, back in the days, and unfortunately, my friends are gone because we didn't live the healthiest life. So some of us stopped and some of us didn't. But we got together with all the friends and just we had such a great time. We would literally get ready at like 5 o'clock on a Saturday night, get all dressed up. Then they'd come to my house, we'd go to their house, whatever. We would drink like fish and watch All-Star Wrestling, which was from 6 to 7, if I remember correctly. And then we'd all be pretty lit up. And then we'd go downtown and hit the bars. That was a bad idea. You're going to watch people beat the piss out of each other for an hour, and then you're going to go downtown among the people? Not a good call, is all I'm saying.
Yeah, that is a specific energy you guys created that I would not want to be around.
Oh, no. Well, first of all, Lyle, and God bless you, Lyle, no longer with us, but God, what a great, Lyle's about 6'5", probably came in at about 310. And he was not a fat man. Let me put it that way. He was a big sumbitch, right? So we're all jacked up from watching All-Star Wrestling, from drinking a few and all the rest of it. And we got Lyle with us. So we're the toughest guys on earth. That's one of those deals. But we never did that. We never got in brawls or any of that stuff. People thought they thought it was kind of funny because they didn't approach anybody and get mean with them or any of that stuff. It was just a group of guys making probably too much noise, I would imagine, in a bar. But God, that was fun. Every Saturday night we did the same damn thing. You guys have rituals like that when you were in your early 20s, that kind of deal?
Yeah,
that's the same thing. But yeah, like going to downtown and stuff. Yeah, for sure. Where'd you go?
Well,
Moby Dick's?
Maybe. I had my friend
Hennepin Avenue.
My friend Chuck was the bouncer at Moby Dick's, and let me show you how big his fists were. They were this big. That's one hand, not two, by the way.
Oh, wow.
And he was the bouncer at Moby Dick's. Just a great guy. He used to go golfing with him all the time. Some bitch could hit a golf ball about 900 miles, but he had a slogan. Every time somebody, hey, Tommy, I got to tell you what, a little disturbance going on. I'll be right back, though. We'll continue our conversation. I'll be right back. Walks over to the 2 guys. He goes, okay, here's how it's going to go. You can go out the front door and go home, or you can go out the back door and go to the hospital. You think that was a pretty good signal?
Yeah, I'd be like, which way is the front door? Yeah, okay,
where? Show me where it is. But that was the day, man, when you went downtown and up and down Hennepin Avenue. God, what a ball. The Copper Squirrel. Actually, that was a place that was on the, what would have been the east side, or no, the west side of, I think. Well, Hennepin Avenue runs what, east and west? I've never known that. Does that run east and west or north and south?
Yeah, I think it's east and west mainly. Yeah.
I think so.
So this would have been on the east side of Hennepin Avenue, the Copper Squirrel. But the cool thing, we thought this was a big deal coming from North Minneapolis. So to get in the Copper Squirrel bar, you had to walk up 4 steps to get to the front door. Ooh.
Oh, that's a club right there.
Pretty snazzy, don't you think? No, it was downtown Minneapolis. My God, it was the best. No doubt about it. Well, living in North Minneapolis is only about 3 blocks away anyway. So
Yeah.
Works out in the end. But any big news coming up? I'm going to, later on in the show, probably an hour from now, I want to delve deeply into the Star Tribune coverage of this. But have you gotten any word, Judd, on this deal with Aaron Rodgers and Jimmy Kimmel? It's in the news again today.
Well, yeah, because Kimmel, in his monologue, I think last night, went after Rodgers, who had implied that Kimmel was going to be, or essentially said that Kimmel was going to find his name on the Jeffrey Epstein list, which of course it didn't happen. So Kimmel got really pissed, and I guess I don't blame him one bit. And he tweeted essentially, if these are your accusations, Aaron, make them in court, because you're basically, going after me in a really, really derogatory way. So Kimmel went after Rodgers then in his monologue. And now Rodgers, who's just unbelievable. He said in a press conference, I think yesterday with the Jets, was asked about this and said, I will address this on my appearance on the Pat McAfee show on ESPN today.
Oh, God.
But here's the best part about the whole thing. ESPN and ABC, Kimmel's network, are both owned by the same companies.
Right.
Yeah.
So, like, you basically have to have Mickey Mouse on Mickey Mouse crime going on. And I don't think that it's a great idea. Rodgers, I don't think he's going to win this, because I think at the end of the day, Jimmy Kimmel is a lot more important to Disney, right?
Yes.
Than Rodgers going on a show for which I think he's paid about $1 million plus a year to make appearances. So it is really weird. But Aaron Rodgers, I don't know when he went off the deep end, but he is off the deep end.
What has he always been as big? I've never met him, never talked to him. Is he as big a prick as he seems?
He didn't used to be. I've got a friend that covers the Packers who used to be pretty tight with him. And no, I don't know where it changed, what happened. I think he's always been odd, but he was not this big a prick. And he has become just, you talk about narcissists, right?
There is that.
Oh my God. And, and do you really think you're that smart, dude? Everything is a conspiracy, or, he didn't get vaccinated, but he tried to, he is just a really, really become a really weird guy, and strikes me as a huge pain in the ass.
How about you, you other three? Your impressions of Jimmy Kimmel and Aaron Rodgers?
Jimmy Kimmel, honestly, just exists in my mind. I've never done anything to watch one of his shows or seek him out in my life. Aaron Rodgers does feel like he may have some undiagnosed something, because I feel like every year he gets more and more extreme.
He does.
Kind of like, where are you going with this, sir? And that's about my rundown on the two.
Yeah, right. Jimmy Kimmel can take him or leave him. I'm not anti or extremely for him. Right. I don't think he deserves to be accused of being a pedophile by Rodgers on ESPN every day, but whatever. And Aaron Rodgers, I feel like it all kind of started when his brother was on, was it The Bachelor or The Bachelorette?
Oh, yeah.
And it came out that Aaron's not really tight with his family. It doesn't go back to Christmas, and then it was eventually kind of fought that, and then he started being progressively more and more a prick. And then as his career kind of progressed, it was, well, why haven't you won as many Super Bowls if you're such a great player? And then it was the immunization. He started dating a girl named Butterfly or something like that. And then the ayahuasca and the darkness retreats. It's always something with him. Just play football and be a regular, decent human being.
He was hurt last year. Is that correct? Got hurt?
Yeah.
Is he ever coming back?
Yeah, he's going to come back next season.
Is he? Because I see that Cousins is coming back next season. Not necessarily the Vikings, but he's still on the docket with us, isn't he?
He's going to be a free agent in March.
Oh, in March.
So, so he could leave, but yeah, they're both definitely planning to play in 24. So I don't know. The Rodgers thing, though, is his inability to just go away and disappear for any amount of time is phenomenal. Like this whole season, he tore his Achilles tendon in the first game. Nobody, and especially his age, is going to come back. And all year long, we had to hear about him saying, "Oh, I'm doing really well. I might be coming back. My timetable, I might come back." And it's like, you're not coming back. You tore your Achilles and you're old. So. Yeah.
All right, now we have to turn to the Mount of Wisdom, AJ, to give his take on Aaron Rodgers and Jimmy Kimmel.
Oh, I've been out on Aaron Rodgers for a long, long time.
There you go.
Like Tevin said, when it came up that he's not the great. Like one of his family members said, yeah, he mailed back unopened Christmas presents that his family sent to him.
Oh.
And I was like, that's fake. No, apparently multiple family members doubled down. Like, yeah, it was just a return to sender thing in the mail. It just totally unopened. So it doesn't seem like the best person in my eyes, but I have never personally met the guy. Jimmy Kimmel, kind of like everybody else here. I don't go out of my way to watch his show. I don't even know technically what it's called. It's just like Late Night with Jimmy Kimmel or whatever. But
I think so, yeah.
I know he hosts a lot of shows, and probably it sounds like should have hosted the Golden Globes the other day instead of Joe Coy. But,
Yeah,
so
probably
expected that gig back. But yeah, I don't think I would say Jimmy Kimmel's going to come out, a guy that has a lot of chops in the comedy world and like a team of writers behind him, rather than just a guy on ayahuasca in the dark who's scribbling on paper.
Right. So basically, we all don't really give a rat's ass much about Aaron Rodgers because I never paid much attention to him either. He didn't seem like my kind of guy. I saw him do an interview. It's like, I don't like that guy. He's okay. Whatever.
Packer fans don't even like Aaron Rodgers when he's with the team. Like, I have all my friends that are Packer fans. Like, yeah, we like the fact that he's really great at playing football, but we don't like him as a person.
Right.
Golden Globes. Quick question before I go. All right, Tom.
Yes, sir.
I'll start with you. When Ricky Gervais, who was marvelous, hosted the Golden Globes, it became very clear that the Hollywood foreign press was going to make it a roast. All right. And it's actually brilliant. Mm-hmm. So was the guy that hosted terrible, or can Hollywood just not take any jokes?
I got to wait because Joe Coy's kind of a friend of mine, so I can't really. I'll go last.
Joe Coy was terrible.
He was terrible.
That's right.
He abandoned his jokes, which made it even worse and making it awkward.
Oh, really?
The thing is like, I think we can make fun of, at least like us as the audience can enjoy it. And, them in the room can have their weird, negative, whatever, like they're making fun of. But it just wasn't funny. Like, not even a little. Like, the jokes were pretty, like, and then he's like, I only had 10 days to do this. And I get that. But
right.
You are also a comedian, but could write up something funny. I mean, or at least get a team. I don't know.
Yeah, Judd, it was the equivalent of if Kevin O'Connell after a loss went in a press conference and was like, well, some of the plays I didn't want to call, somebody else wanted to call. But all the ones that worked, those are the plays that I called. All the ones that didn't work were somebody else.
Didn't he specifically say, I have writers in the back who wrote some of these, and those are garbage. The ones that I wrote, those are the ones you're laughing at. And the ones that he's talking about got got small chuckles. So.
I'm sorry to hear that. I really am sorry to hear that. I'll close with this, Judd. Kind of this situation between, it's not exactly the same. But back in the day, Tommy Kramer and I used to go at each other like there was no tomorrow, that I was a massive pain in the ass, blah, blah, blah. Nah, Tommy Kramer's a pain in the ass. But last time I saw him, I walk up to him and I give him a big hug and he's hugging me. And my wife is going, I thought you two guys hated each other. I said, honey, it's showbiz. Settle down. I love Tommy Kramer. Tommy is one of the nicest guys. Haven't you found Tommy to be just a great guy?
Oh, Tommy's and he's an old school guy, right?
He is. He is.
Back when quarterbacks were staying up late and having fun.
Tommy, we close with this, with Judd and everyone else on. We love you, Tommy Kramer. That's all I got. You gave us many, many years of joy, and just even knowing you was an honor, or is an honor, I should say. I don't see him all that much anymore, but honest to God, you should have seen all the people because we were at the VHS Center or whatever the hell it's called. DEOs. What the hell is it called over in St. Paul? I always forget.
The XL Energy Center?
XL Energy. There you go. To me, it's still Minigasco or NSP. It's one of those two. You guys, you don't even know what that is, do you?
I remember those. Oh, no, I do.
Northern States
old
Power.
Mm-hmm.
That's what XL. So I'll just call it what was it again? It was Mini Watt or something was the little.
The slogan guy.
The slogan guy. Yeah.
Yeah. The Mini Watt.
All right. So we found a couple of people we love and a couple of people we think are kind of a pain in the ass. So what more could come from a segment like this?
Absolutely nothing, because we avoided talking about the present day Vikings. And as long as we did that, we did a good job. Who
loves you more than us, Judd? That's all I want to know.
Yeah, nobody. I'll talk to you tomorrow. Okay.
That sounds good, pal. Thank you.
All right.
That's all good, ladies and gentlemen. Score North. Take a break. Be right back. We got another sterling Hubbard employee. He's a news guy, isn't he? I think. I'm not sure. This Chris Egert. Doesn't he do news or something?
Not just a news guy. The news
he's the news guy. That's right. I forgot. The news guy will be with us right after this. You need to know a guy for your auto repairs, legal issues, banking, and more. Same goes for investment advice. You need a guy to help you be successful, someone you can trust who gets results. Well, I got a guy for you, Josh Arnold. Josh gives you straight talk, not sugar-coated advice about financial situations. Josh has seen it all when it comes to economic and market conditions, and Josh can make sure that your retirement objectives match your investments. Do yourself a favor. Call Josh now for a no-obligation 48-minute evaluation. You got nothing to lose, and you'll get a different point of view for your investments. Call Josh at 952-925-5608. That's 952-925-5608. You'll be glad you did. Investment services offered by Josh Arnold, investment consultant, LLC, a security and investment advisor. Past performance is no guarantee of future results. All investments involve risk, of course. All comments and opinions are Josh Arnold's and do not constitute investment advice. I'm Tom Barnard, and I am a paid endorser.
Is that text you're sending so important that you missed your turn? Is that text you're sending so important that you ran the red light? Is that text you're sending so important you didn't see the ball coming onto the road or the child that followed? Hi, I'm Mike Bryant from Bradshaw & Bryant. When you take your eyes off the road for even 4 seconds, your vehicle travels 100 yards. That's the entire length of a football field. If you absolutely have to text, you need to pull off the road somewhere safe and do it from there. Texting and driving is against the law and can cause serious injury or even death to you and others. Now that is important. We hope you're never injured in a collision, but if you are, please contact us.
Find Bradshaw & Bryant, personal injury attorneys at minnesotapersonalinjury.com.
Going farther with Mike Bryant on your side, seeking justice for the injured. Bradshaw & Bryant.
You've all helped support MyPillow and their employees in these tough economic times. Thank you for that. Mike Lindell, a friend of mine, knows this and continues to give back to listeners with great deals on his most popular products. Right now, you can save 50% on Queen and King pillows. The original My Slippers and the MyPillow 6-pack bath towel sets are back in stock. The proprietary technology makes them extremely absorbent, yet still provides that soft feel you look for in a towel. The set comes with 2 bath towels, 2 hand towels, and 2 washcloths. Regular price, $79.98 for a limited time. You can get this 6-pack towel set for only $39.99 with promo code TOM. That is a 50% savings. So go to MyPillow.com, use promo code TOM to save 50% on the MyPillow 6-pack towel sets. That is just $39.99 for a set. This deal will not last long. Enter promo code TOM for this special and, of course, many more. We are back, ladies and gentlemen. A little news, a little information. Chris Egert with us. Channel 5's Chris Egert is brought to you by Mr. Money Talk, Josh Arnold. Call Josh today for your free 48-minute evaluation, 952-925-5608. Chris Egert with the news. What's happening, Pally?
Nothing. How are you?
Well, we were just talking about, I do like to watch the local news. I was a voice of Channel 5 for about 4 or 5 different times for about over the last 30 years, something like that.
Couple of times.
So, I still watch 5 Eyewitness News whenever I can. It's been I started my career at Hubbard, so I kind of have an allegiance toward them, and I'm going to finish my career with them. So I kind of like that. It might be today, but it will finish with Hubbard.
You never know. You
never know, man. Could be big trouble. But yeah, we were just talking about the fact that on CNN this morning, they were saying that we're all going to die because the planet's getting too hot and all the rest of it. And let me get your take on that quickly. I won't spend a lot of time on it, but if the Eastern Hemisphere is the one that's doing all the polluting, which they are, by the way, we add to it, but they pollute much more than the Western Hemisphere. What can we do about that? Nothing. Right?
How could we? There's no way.
Right. There's no way.
If we really wanted to take a stance on it and we were convinced that that's the bit, that's the reason and everything will go back to normal, or first of all, you have to be even convinced that global warming is real, because there's a lot of people who would tell you no one's been keeping track of the Earth's temperature for long enough to actually know. There's only records that go back a certain amount of time.
That's a good point.
I'm just playing both sides of it here.
Yep.
But if we really wanted to do something, I guess as Americans, we would stop buying Chinese things, right?
I agree.
If at the core of it was their manufacturing industry and all the cheap things that we all, fill our house with, but is that going to happen?
I hope that wasn't somebody's stomach that was just growling because you're hungry, whoever that was. You guys didn't hear that?
I heard it, but I don't know what it was.
What the hell was that? I thought it was a dog sneaking in through the doors. I'm like,
that's what I thought I heard something, but now I
don't know what the hell it was. Somebody's hungry. I know that.
I my stomach normally growls a couple of times on the morning news, and like you can hear it if you know like. And Megan will be like, "You think you need to eat something?" I'm like, apparently.
You might have to sneak in a Snickers during the break here, but and no, and to tell you, there it just happened again.
I think it's somebody's chair.
It's a chair, you think?
Moving like the leather. Are you sitting in a leather chair? Anybody?
Not me.
No.
See, I'm moving my chair right now. It's not doing anything. Oh, the only not moving. Oh, see. Anyway, getting back to the news, we're just looking at a bunch of headlines. I'm not going to spend all day on stomach gurgles.
Let's just all sit here and do this for the next 5 minutes.
I pretend I'm Stevie Wonder. Everybody say yeah. What do you think?
Yeah.
I can't. I wish I could play a harmonica like Stevie Wonder. Man, that guy
can do anything like Stevie Wonder.
Yeah, anything like Stevie Wonder. Exactly. That's exact. I can see better than him. Does he know that?
Probably.
I just heard another groan. There is something going on, Tevin. Somebody's on leather or something's going because I just heard it again. And I like it. Don't get me wrong. It makes it like, oh, somebody needs to go home and have a little lunch or something. It's a human thing. So who cares, right?
Right.
All right. So we've decided this morning. I've gotten very, very lucky because we talked about Tommy Kramer's a great guy. He's a friend of mine. Joe Coy, really like Joe Coy. He is getting ripped to shreds because I guess he was just horrendous on the award show, which I didn't watch, so I don't know. But everybody that watched it said he just was terrible.
I only watched the clips that like were posted on social media because I was asleep. But I don't know. I just read something that the ratings were really good for it compared to what they were the year before, or did I imagine that?
I don't know. Because Ricky Gervais did it last year, or did they even do it last year, or was it canceled?
They didn't do it last year.
Okay, I thought so, yeah. So, but nobody's going to be better than Ricky Gervais anyway. He's as good as it gets, don't you think?
No, he was hilarious. And I watched his monologue from the last year he did it. And he's like, listen, I'm not coming back here, so I'm going to have to burn some bridges. And he attacked everyone, and it was hilarious. He was like, do you know that, Apple TV and Amazon, they all have sweatshops, and you're working for these companies with Apple TV and Amazon and these Primes and all these things. So if you come up here and you want to grandstand about some thing or some whatever, he's like, just keep in mind, if ISIS started a streaming service, you guys would call your agent to get in there. And everyone was like,
absolutely.
So you could tell he was getting all this backlash in the room, but of course, everyone at home is just laughing because you're so right. And I was like, yes, that is, it has to be somebody who doesn't care what's happening with the feedback right in front of them, but knows that the people at home are loving it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sorry, but it's true. It's like I am dedicated to this particular thing, unless, of course, I can make more money over here. It's always about money.
Of course.
Which kind of sucks. Get off your ass and work. How about that? Once you do that.
That would be such a tough job to, first of all, you know what it's like. If you ever had to we had our Hubbard company Christmas party a couple weeks ago. Brittany, you were there. AJ, I saw Tevin, you weren't there, were you?
Nope, I was not.
We had a couple of our folks from radio. One of them used to be on TV who are the MCs of the thing. That's a tough crowd when you're working a crowd of your peers, I think.
I bet.
And then to factor in the whole Hollywood thing where everybody takes themselves so freaking seriously, right? I'm the biggest deal on the planet, and you put them in there, and man, that is a tough audience. I don't think you could pay me enough to do that job.
I couldn't agree more. That job is very, very difficult. No question about it. You guys have all had to probably stand up in front of a big auditorium audience or anything to do either an intro or talk a little bit. You've all done that.
Yeah.
Because most people get intimidated as hell. And see, when I walk out, it's like, oh God, you guys are going to suffer now. That's all I'm saying. I don't give a rat's ass how you respond to this. I really don't.
Well, that is when you're at your best, when you're speaking, I find is when you just sort of let it rip and you try not to even read the reaction and because if you're entertaining yourself somehow, really, then I guess you're doing you're doing a good job. Like, I don't give a shit if you guys think that was funny or not. That was funny as hell.
Absolutely. Johnny Carson was the best in the world. Nobody will ever be better than Johnny Carson was at delivering a little show opener. You guys should go back and watch it. I mean,
I love Carson. I couldn't agree more.
Honest to God. Who was that there was a little, the Care Bears. What were the Care Bears about again? They were little bears. They were Care Bears. It had something to do with
they had like emotions on their stomachs, and they smelled a certain way based on whatever their color was, right? Isn't that the Care Bears?
I don't think they smell, but they did have like different emotions that would convey what their complete personality.
Care Bears didn't smell? All right, sorry.
No,
those are just mine.
Johnny Carson walks out one night and he's got this very concerned look on his face. And I'm like, what the hell is that all about? Something really bad must have happened. He goes, ladies and gentlemen, I'm sorry, but I just got a very disturbing thing that I saw. The Care Bears, you know where they are right now? On top of old Smokey. You remember Smokey the Bear?
Oh, yeah. Oh, that's good.
He's stooping all the Care Bears backstage.
It's such a like innocent sounding thing to say at first, which is what made it brilliant, right? And then when you have to think about it, you're like, oh God.
They're all on top of Smokey Bear.
That Smokey the Bear seems like he would be a very intimidating lover.
He's still around, isn't he? There still is a Smokey Bear, isn't there?
Yeah.
But why don't we call him and ask him if he's intimidating to have sex with?
I mean, he seems very aggressive, but I don't know.
Is he the one who says only you can prevent forest fires?
Yeah.
So wait, let me get this straight. His name is Smokey, and he's supposed to be preventing.
It's ironic.
Is it though? It's like almost. He seems to be at the scene of the crime every time as well.
That'd be like naming a big bullet Shooty, the gun violence bullet.
But like it would prevent it, right? So it would be like, I don't.
Want his name to be Water?
It's Shooty. Don't use your guns.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm Robbie, the anti-theft.
Robbie. Absolutely, there's nothing wrong with that. Well, you know who does only you can prevent forest fires. You know who does that now?
Is it Sam Elliott?
You got it. Sam Elliott's the voice
you do
of
a good Sam Elliott. I could tell right away what you were doing.
Well, I was talking to him one time, and one of the best things of all is he popped on the KQ morning show once. Really nice guy.
Yeah.
He's on the morning show. Well, the woman on the show said something about, I just loved your last movie, and I'm a really big fan of yours. There's a long pause, and he goes, well, shit, man, thank you. Like, shit, man. Oh shit, man! Thank you. Okay.
A nice reaction. I love it.
Yeah, very natural. Any other big news? We only got you for about one more second here.
Yeah, one more second. All right. Well, a Wallet Hub came out with a survey of the top 3 places to raise a family. Minnesota is not number 1.
Mm-hmm.
We're number 3.
Yes.
Any guesses what the first 2 states are that are above Minnesota? Again, best places to raise a family.
To raise a family?
Yep.
I would go Nebraska. I just went to the heart of the country. That's why I went to Nebraska.
Yeah, no, you might be a little surprised by them, actually.
I'm gonna say one's gonna be like Vermont.
Yeah, that'd be a good choice, I would think. So you're going to tell me it's going to be L.A. and New York, aren't you?
No. But Kevin, you were close. Massachusetts. So you're getting into that neck of the woods. Mm-hmm. The other one is right next door.
North Dakota.
There you go.
Yeah, that's where I was raised.
You're a former resident.
I would say that checks out because there's not a lot going on. I would not, as like after 18, get out and go somewhere more fun. But yeah, if you just want a quiet place to raise a family.
Yeah, I was 5 when I was like, let's move to Minnesota. That was my big move. So
you chose the move.
You decided that at 5?
Yeah, I made the call. I was like, Mom, Dad, you guys should not be married anymore. Also, Minnesota bound.
Yeah, I understand it completely. You, Mom and Dad, you should get divorced. I've been observing, and you should.
From what I've seen here, this is a very toxic relationship.
No question about it. One more quick question. I know you got to go, but one more quick question.
Yes, sir.
Minnesota's got some massive problems if North Dakota Iowa and Wisconsin do what they say they're going to do or thinking about doing, they're all thinking about getting rid of the state tax. Do you know what that would do to Minnesota?
Well, I know what it's done in South Dakota because a ton of people claim residency in South Dakota, even though they make it pretty easy to do that there too. So some people will claim residence. Yeah, I can definitely see that.
Yeah, I mean that. If they all do that, Minnesota's got some massive problems because we already have, I think, the third highest state tax in the country. And then when all four states that surround you have no state income tax, you better live right in the middle of the state. Otherwise, you're not going to live in Minnesota anymore. You're gonna go east or west or south. There's no question about it.
Yeah, I'll move to Wisconsin.
Oh, Wisconsin's beautiful. Well, I'll move to Wisconsin. They don't want you back, from what I heard.
Probably
he's
not.
coming back.
Oh,
I'll change my billing address to Wisconsin.
There you go. Exactly. And what you just said, Chris, we'll close with this. I believe as soon as you've received one letter in the U.S. mail, you are now a citizen of South Dakota.
That simple, huh?
I guess it's like a one-day thing, and you just go over there, and you are a resident. Same thing in Florida. As soon as you get a driver's license in Florida, you are a resident of Florida.
I got to look into that. My parents are from South Dakota. I got an address where I could have mail sent. I'm all about trying to save some money somewhere.
There you have it. All right, pal. Sorry we kept you for so long. I know you have a lot of duties. Thanks a lot. Chris Egert, ladies and gentlemen. Channel 5's Chris Egert is brought to you by Mr. Money Talk, Josh Arnold. Call Josh today for your free 48-minute evaluation. Josh Arnold's number is 952-925-5608, 952-925-5608. Yeah, would you? Okay, look, so you live in the Twin Cities.
Mm-hmm.
Wisconsin all of a sudden goes, no tax. Isn't everybody going to move across the river?
Yeah, I mean, to move across the river, especially if you're living in Minneapolis or a surrounding suburb, the difference in lifestyle is going to be much different. Yes, you can drive and commute if you wanted to work here, I guess. But if I would say it would probably be more prevalent if there was a bigger metropolitan area instead of just a lot of rural farmland right across the border.
But that Hudson area is very nice.
Yeah.
That's a good spot. Now, what's the other one down further south? Starts with a P. It's further south. What the hell is the name of that place? It's really nice, actually.
Because, well, there's, I mean, like right across, like a place, like if you lived in Winona and you're like, oh, I'm going to move to La Crosse, those are probably.
Yeah, La Crosse is great too. Yeah.
Yeah, Hudson is a big city. There's River Falls, which is kind of a college town.
Right.
Yeah, so there are some options, but I wouldn't necessarily pack my bags immediately.
No, you still like to pay that 15% income tax?
No, I mean, I would try to skirt. Like, I would be like, hey, let me put a P.O. box over across the border. And then last resort would be moving. Yeah.
I just love that. I look up at the screen and we're talking about moving here, moving there. We're going to pay some income tax. We're not going to pay some. I look up and AJ's going, well, did you not pay your taxes?
I'm going to skirt over there. Skirt. That's like,
like the driving. Like,
oh, you were driving. I thought you were doing God.
Yeah, I mean, I probably shouldn't admit to my plan to how to commit tax evasion.
Yeah, I also have a feeling, Tevin, you might fall in my situation where the act of moving compared to my salary and the small amount they take from it is going to be like not.
Yeah, that's a different deal.
Yeah, it's a different vibe to not like the taxes don't affect me on the level they affect other people.
If I was a millionaire or even like made enough money where seeing that 15% compared to nothing made a significant difference, I 100% would move and find a way to, make it work.
If they were responsible, the U.S. government would have gotten together with all 50 governors of all the states and said, here's what we're going to do. You got your state and you can run your state, but you're part of the United States. So we're going to do this. We're going to institute a flat tax. Everybody in the United States pays at this level, and this level. The more you make, the more you're going to have to pay, but it'll be flat. But they'll never do that. You know why they'll never do that?
Why?
Because of accountants and lawyers. Why the hell would you hire a lawyer or an accountant if you could just have it's my money?
That is true. I never thought about it like that. Because the easier your taxes are to do yourself, the less you need to pay somebody else to help you out. Yeah.
And look, I got a great accountant. I've had him for years and years and years. He's a great guy. So I don't have any problem with it at all. But they should have done that a long time. First of all, didn't the federal income tax come into place in like 1902 or something like that, or 1905? Let somebody check that out for me. I know we had no tax in this country until the 1900s. So it's only been a little over, what, $1.25 or something like that, somewhere in that area.
Yeah.
But the second they instituted that tax, it should have been a flat tax on a state and a federal level. You pay this. There are no write-offs, no anything. Mm-hmm. This is what you pay, and that's just how it is.
Yeah, and it does, to me, it doesn't really make sense with, like, why can, you know, a state like Florida or Texas have no state income tax, and then we have a state income tax? Like, how, like, what are they doing differently where they can not have that essentially income from their residents? Like, are other things more expensive in Florida, Tom, that make up for it?
If you are in Florida and you have some dough, I'm not saying you're a billionaire or a multi-millionaire or anything like that, but you are going to notice. Well, we went grocery shopping a while back. Andy came to town and went grocery shopping, and I paid for the groceries and he grabbed the receipt. And he said, I was looking at this, and in Minnesota, these groceries would have probably cost about $150. I said, yeah, that sounds about right. He said, you know how much it was here? And I said, no. He goes, $300.
Oof.
So there are things in these non-tax states that are twice as expensive as everywhere else. Mm-hmm. The no-tax state isn't the complete answer, because you are going to pay more for things in no-tax states. It's just going to happen. Right. But at least you're the one who gets to choose if you want to do that or not.
Right. Because you can find alternatives to expensive groceries, for example, or make lifestyle choices. Yeah, that makes sense.
They do turn it back to the person. But there are things that make up for all of having the no state tax or anything. There are things that make up for it. And again, it's all your choice. If you want to live the high life, it's going to cost you more to live in those no tax states. It just is, which is how it should be, don't you think?
Yeah, I think so. If you're like, my choice was, you're going to take this 15%, or I can essentially choose what I'm going to do with that 15% to either make my life better, or like, you shouldn't be having to just survival. Like, survival shouldn't be the main thing. Like, you can, like you're saying, you can live a better life if you wanted to, or you can spend less money.
Absolutely. I got 3 text messages this morning so far, and one that made me laugh, because we've been talking about Pat Eberts a lot, my dear friend Catherine's semi-distant cousin, and all the rest of it. And I got a text this morning from a listener that said, weren't you the guy that said that Pat Eberts was the biggest pain in the ass on earth? And I said, yes, I am. That was Pat.
Right.
I love the guy dearly, but he was a massive pain in the ass.
You were the guy that said that, and you stand by that.
Yeah, and he was our pain in the ass. Like,
yeah, he was our pain in the ass. Very good way to put it.
Like, every time Pat would call me, it would be like what do you want, Pat? And then like, okay, hello. And like, the conversation was always pleasant. He's a very nice person.
He would call it, I'd pull up my calendar on my phone and go, do I have an hour to give to this?
Right.
Do I have anywhere to be? Do I have to get in the car at any point? Like, am I traveling? Can I talk to him maybe when I'm traveling to like Wisconsin? Or, oh, Tom, you were thinking of Prescott, by the way.
Prescott. That's exactly what I was thinking.
We had somebody email about it, but yeah, no, I
Great
love
Tom. Great.
I miss Pat. Did he drive me nuts? Absolutely.
Of course he did. But AJ, he never drove you nuts. I know that.
Yeah.
No, he in like transitioning to doing the full-time stuff. Sorry, that I had to figure out how I wanted.
No. Every time you're going to make something up, you go, well, you're thinking
transitioning to like the full-time gig. I was unaware of like how often you should be how often a producer will talk with member of the sales team. Right. And I was like, and Pat was one of the first ones I talked to, and I was like, wow, okay, this is really hands-on. And then it didn't persist with any of the other ones.
Yeah.
And I was like, Pat's just really passionate about what he wants to do about work.
Yep. And to kind of piggyback off of that same train of thought, when I first had started dealing with Pat and getting to know him, he didn't say like, I'm sales guy Pat, or I'm like, there was no title to it. I just assumed he was the top of the pyramid with how much input he was giving me. I was like, oh, you must be Mr. Hubbard. Like Pat Ebert Hubbard is what your name is.
No, he was one of the great salesmen I've ever met. I adored Pat. I loved everything about Pat, but he could be a huge pain in the ass. He once tried to, he goes, Tom, I need you to do me a favor in January. I know you're going to be out of town, but could you come back? Because he wants you to do like 20 minutes at one of the, like some golf show. I said, yeah, Pat, I'm going to fly back for 20 minutes. Yes, that's what I'm going to do.
But it kind of makes sense, right? Because like his job,
Yeah,
was
absolutely.
to create business where there isn't business, was to continuously contact people and make things work. And I mean, he was, if you were lucky enough to be one of his clients, he's going to make sure your commercial runs and also make sure that you get the allotted amount of time. That guy went to work for you. And that's, you know, he drove, I've seen him drive many a producers crazy, but whatever.
Yeah. And he was passionate about not only like making sure he's, you know, got the business to put the commercial on air, but I remember he called me once and for our people down in Florida and was like, all we have to do is sell one house, like to make it worth their whatever. And he was like, you know, thinking about like, okay, you know, I've got people that are potentially going to, and he was like, just as excited as them, you know, selling a house as it was for getting them, you know, on air and advertising.
And he was like always the salesman away from work too, in a sense. The first time I ever interact with him, I was working at the state fair, and we are like 10 days in, and I'm just like, I got 4 more hours today, and then I got 3 more days after this, and it's beating hot, and I'm tired, and I'm sore. I've been sitting on a stool for 8 hours every day for the last whatever. But he comes up and he's talking to me, and he disappears for like 5 minutes, and I'm like, I don't really know who that guy is, but he was wearing like a dress shirt and whatnot, so you know, hey, he must be working at the office. He comes back, Sweet Martha's cookies. This man went and stood in line in the beating heat. Comes back, he's like, I know you're working hard, blah blah blah. I was like, we just met 5 minutes ago.
You know,
spent what is about like $40 on cookies. You are now sweating your butt off. You're insisting that you don't want any, and now me and the college kid I'm working with, that's all us. Like what a gesture. And then
I know.
Always like a loving sale.
Yep. I think it's something to say, right? Like I've never met anyone like Pat. Every part of that word. I've never met anybody like Pat. I don't know if I want to meet. No, just kidding. Like,
he's got a twin brother, you know.
I know, who's lovely, Michael. We talked to him.
That's great guy.
The wake, but I miss him, and I also it makes me go. Because me and Pat didn't he drove me nuts when we were at KQ. He was just
you and everybody else. He just did.
He just did. He was constantly whatever. And so I was really happy that him and I got to hang out here at the podcast because we kind of had more of a bond here because it was less of a dog eat dog world. And we were just in different places in our lives. And I had so much fun with him on the boat cruise. And we had some good talks about how I was just so impressed because he worked crazy hours and had 4 kids, and I, as a new mom at the time, I was like, that's insane to me. He would fall asleep at the studio cutting commercials because he didn't want to drive home and had to be back there in the morning, so I'd see him sleeping in another studio.
Absolutely.
How wild is that? But I think it's something to be said. There's people in your life that your personalities may not initially mesh, but there's something special about them. And it's fun to find somebody who is not your average. Everybody has their quirks, and it's kind of fun to like find them and appreciate them because now I miss Pat. He cared so much. He's the only one who would message me about an actor from Reacher. Like nobody else.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Nobody else cares like Pat. And now I miss him. And I like want a text from him in the middle of the show that I can be like, don't message me during the show, but I want it. I miss him.
Yes. Well, I'm glad to hear you guys say those things because Pat and I were friends for many, many years. Look, Pat was the top biller over at the Q. He just kicked ass. I mean, just kicked ass. Here's a guy rolling the dough in. He's successful as hell. But when I left, he left with me. Yeah. I mean, it's not because he was Catherine's, third cousin or anything like that. He just was a very, very, very loyal man. And I think you guys did understand that after a while, that while he was annoying the piss out of you, there was nobody more loyal to you than Pat Eberts. That's a fact. Right?
Yep.
We miss you, Pat. And I guess, and Patrick Jr., I got to stay in touch. touch with him because every time Pat called me, go, hold on a second, Tom. He'd hand the phone over. Patrick Jr. go, hi, Tom. I go, how you doing, Patrick? It was just this wonderful, very family-oriented thing. Just terrific. Look, here's a guy who wanted to raise his kids in a smaller town, lived in St. Cloud and drove that distance back and forth every day. Just so his kids wanted to be there, so that's where they were. That's the kind of guy he was. Isn't that great?
It is so great. Yeah, that is, and it's wild. When me and Alex were driving up there, I kept thinking like he drove this every day at the craziest times too.
Yes. Yep.
Yeah, that is impressive.
No question about it. I just was sent another text message. You guys remember Billy Gardner with Minnesota Twins?
Yeah, it sounds familiar.
Look him up if you would, because I got some bad news, but the text message is not, it finishes in a weird way. Okay.
Oh.
You see Billy Gardner?
Oh, yeah.
He was with the Twins what year? He was several years. He was with them. What era?
Let's see here. Why does it not say?
It looks like he was with the Twins in 1961. If I'm looking at the right Billy Gardner.
Yeah. It looks like he was in the major leagues from like 94 to 1960.
Okay,
or 54. Sorry,
okay.
1954
54,
to
yeah.
1963.
He was at the Twins for what, 3 years?
He was with them for, it looks like, a season and a half. He might have managed with them though.
Yeah, as a manager for about 4 years, it looks like.
There we go. Yeah.
Oh, there he was. Okay. I got this from Doc. Just saw that Billy Gardner died last week. He was 96 years old. Holy shit. I thought he would have died 20 years ago. Well, he would have been 76. So, he could have hung on for a while. Billy Gardner was a great guy. So I found that out this morning that, Doc, thank you for sending that message over, that I loved Billy Gardner. I thought he was a magnificent manager, right? Just a wonderful guy.
Yeah.
Don't you think? And for music people, Joe in Louisville sent me, today is Jimmy Page's 80th birthday.
Wow.
That doesn't mean as much to you guys as it does to me, because in 1967, I believe their first album came. I think it was 67. Their first album came out. And I listened to that boy play a guitar and I'm like, holy God. He changed the way rock stars played the guitar. He really did. So he's not dead though. He's 80. So that's the big difference. But a lot of news coming in this morning about things like that. But yeah, Billy Gardner just spent a little more time, because I know we got to go to break here in a bit. Well, not for another 10 minutes, do we?
We still have one that we could hit right now and then go to break.
I thought I did it, but I didn't do it.
No.
No. We got wrapped up in emotion.
Yeah. It's better to talk about
Patty.
That's
absolutely.
break. Well, yeah, that's a very nice way to put it. It's better to be wrapped up in emotion.
Knowing Pat, he would have texted all of us.
He would be so mad. This is why you honor me.
That is so funny.
Right. 100% correct, ladies and gentlemen. Pat, this 4-minute late break is for you. We love you, pal. Be right back.
This is the Tom Barnard Show. Listen live on the Tom Barnard Show app or at tombernardshow.com.
Tom here, and I want to discuss a partnership that has been wonderful in my life, Zero Res Carpet Care. Very good friends of mine. Nothing is better to someone with a family than having a completely clean home. Your carpet is the biggest filter in your house. If you want to talk about pet dander or foot traffic, dirt from the outside, they all eventually reside in your carpet. So, Zero Res Carpet Care. Listen, around the holidays, you need to contact ZeroResMinnesota.com or call 952-ZEROREZ. That's 952-ZERO-RES. They clean your home with their electrolyzed pH-elevated water that doesn't use chemicals or soaps that smell like a janitor's closet like other cleaning services. How about a Tom Barnard deal? Well, here it is. Get 3 rooms, 0 resified, starting at $129. And don't forget your air ducts. Mention me, and they'll discount your air vents by $75 too. This is for the entire month. So call them right now, 952-0-RES, backward or forwarded, spells the same, or book online, ZeroResMinnesota.com. If it's available, ask for them to come to your place in the Tom Barnard named service truck. What an honor that was, by the way. Just mention me by name and get the special deal to get your home clean and your heart happy. Zero Res Carpet.
Hello, I'm Brad Huckle, President and Chief Lending Officer at North American Banking Company.
And I'm Michael Bilski, CEO at North American Banking Company.
As a locally owned and operated community bank, we work with many multi-generational businesses.
Take Personal Care Dentistry of Roseville, for example. Dr. Walter Hunt, also known as Painless to me, has been a longtime customer of the bank since we opened the bank in 1998.
When his son Kyle was ready to join the practice, they wanted to expand quickly.
With their additional space and equipment, they now are able to see more patients each day while providing the same level of care and service.
Okay, guys, I'll take it from here. If you run a family business or any kind of business for that matter, you should be banking with Brad and Mike over at North American Banking Company. Every time I deal with them or their team, I know I'm working with experienced professional bankers. So why not bank with my banker? North American Banking Company, a better banking experience, member FDIC, equal housing lender.
This is Bob Sansevier, and I want to tell you about Dave Bialke from Bialke Law. Dave represented my wife, Mary, when she had a significant workplace injury. She was very happy with the job Dave did. If you have a work-related injury and have Dave represent you, I'm betting you'll be happy too. Dave is a down-to-earth guy. He grew up in northern Minnesota, rides a Harley, and worked various jobs doing concrete, electrical, plumbing, roofing, and carpentry work. Dave works for people with work-related injuries. If you work construction, or anywhere for that matter, and you're hurt or even just hurting, you should talk to Dave. Let's face it, our bodies wear out. If your body is worn out from work, if your knees or back or shoulders hurt from things you do at work, do what Mary did. Call Dave and talk to him about it at Bialke Law to set up a free initial consultation. The number to call is 763-571-2410. That's 763-571-2410. Or visit bialkelaw.com. That's BIALKE law.com.
We are back, ladies and gentlemen. A little news, a little information. As promised, Jimmy Kimmel strikes back at Aaron Rodgers. Was talking about getting to it. Talked about it about an hour ago with Judd Zulgad. Jimmy Kimmel strikes back at Aaron Rodgers. The late-night host directed some harsh words toward the former Packers quarterback. That's kind of cold because he's the current Jet quarterback. I mean, he's on the injured list, but but they don't even mention the Jets.
Oh, that's not great for them.
You wouldn't think so. Oh, I remember when you were with a good team. Oh, okay, great. Thank you. Jimmy Kimmel's feud with Aaron Rodgers escalated last night with the late-night host switching to the offense. Last Tuesday, former Green Bay Packers quarterback suggested Kimmel's name might pop up when officials released a batch of court documents listing associates of Jeffrey Epstein. The former financier and convicted sex offender committed suicide in 2019. Do you guys think he committed suicide?
No.
I don't either. No way.
Nope. One of the best tweets I've ever seen about that was like, if you're surprised about Jeff Epstein killing himself, guess how surprised he was.
That's a great line, actually. Was that a listener or was that somebody in the business?
No, that was just somebody with a great sense of humor on the internet. That's all.
Well, it's amazing how surprised he was when he committed suicide. If he didn't commit suicide.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I highly doubt a man with that big an ego would ever get. People with massive egos don't generally kill themselves.
No. Well, and then just like the whole situation was surrounding his suicide, where it's like, well, this camera was off and this camera was off, and he magically got this, and it's like, okay.
Yeah, it was a lot. And it was also at some point I remember like everyone was like, we got to figure it out, and I was like, we never will. Let's just move on.
There's a lot of people, including Jimmy Kimmel, really hoping that doesn't come out, Rodgers said on the Pat McAfee show, which airs on ESPN. I'll tell you what, if that list comes out, I definitely will be popping some sort of bottle. When the documents did come out, Kimmel's name was not in them. Kimmel responded to Rodgers' comments on Twitter last week, threatening to take the sideline Jets player to court. They don't say the injured player. They said the sideline player. It sounds like they kicked him off the team, for Christ's sake.
Yeah, this is almost scathing.
Yeah, they're taking a lot of
shaving. Yeah. It's true. You're absolutely right. Kimmel responded to Rodgers' comments on Twitter last week. He threatened all this stuff and that stuff. Jimmy Kimmel Live, of course, is where he did it. He dedicated the first 7 minutes of his opening. 7 minutes he dedicated to the former Green Bay Packers quarterback. That's a long time on a 90-minute show?
Yeah, especially TV. We all know that like in radio, we can spend any amount of time, but TV, 9 minutes, that's a long time.
Why, who's in radio?
None of us.
You got it, sister. We slid away. Kimmel responded to Rodgers' comments last week on Jimmy Kimmel Live. He dedicated the first 7 minutes in the opening monologue to chastising the former Super Bowl winner. He thinks because God gave him the ability to throw a ball, he's smarter than everyone else, Kimmel said early Monday evening. Despite the show's title, JKL tapes roughly 5 hours before it airs. The idea that his brain is just average is just unfathomable to him. That's a horrible. If you meant to rip him, that was a terrible rip.
Yeah.
The idea that his brain is just average is just unfathomable to him. What the hell does that even mean?
As he takes a puff of his cigar and or smoking his pipe.
Exactly. Yeah, I mean, it just, there's a better way to put that than that, don't you think?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, he thinks he's really smart, but he's actually a dumbass. That's a much better way to put it, don't you think?
There you
Much
go.
more concise.
Absolutely. What are you going to do? The screen then showed a photo of Rodgers in his Green Bay Packers uniform. He put on the magic helmet, and that G made him a genius. Kimmel said Aaron got 2 A's on his report card. They were both in the word Aaron. Oh, get it? No, that's a pretty good joke.
That's actually funny.
He got 2 A's his entire career, and they were in his name. That's pretty good. He's got some good writers on that show, I guess, huh?
I would think so.
Is that show 60 minutes now or 90 minutes?
No idea.
I don't either. I have no idea. I've literally never watched Kimmel on the whole show. I've seen him do a monologue.
Yeah, I consume him the way I consume all like TV that I don't intentionally watch. Is like if clips go viral, I'll see it. But I've never sat. I don't even know what time it starts. I've never sat down start to finish. But not because I have some weird hate for him or whatever. I just never. I don't do that with any late night show. That's never going to be my, me.
I think it's only an hour. I'm looking it up now. It says it has a 40-minute runtime, so I'm guessing that means they have 20 minutes of commercials in there too, which is crazy for
a lot of commercials.
Yeah, but so I'm guessing 7 minutes of the 40 total that they're on air was dedicated to just thrashing Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, which is Aaron Rodgers. You got to know better. You don't poke you get on Pat McAfee's show for like 15 minutes every week. Yeah. Jimmy Kimmel has the ability with a group of individuals. He could dedicate his whole show to you if he wanted to. And now you're not going to win this battle unless his name was actually on the list, which it was not.
And it was not, from what I understand. I don't know. So it's kind of risky, don't you think? In Aaron Rodgers' case, to take a risk like that, he had to know that Jimmy Kimmel was never on that island. I would assume he knew that. He just threw it out there to try to destroy the guy. I mean, that's a pretty lame attempt at destroying someone, you know?
He reminds me of somebody who is on some like dark web thread that found real evidence in his mind and he thought he had the tea. The way he was talking, the way he was so confident, he thought for sure he was calling out somebody with facts. And it was like, you were on a Reddit thread.
A Reddit thread, yeah.
Yeah, and that's not exactly because like the way he was everything, Tom, was like, you can't be that brazen without absolutely believing what you're saying.
Yeah, I suppose. Or a deep, deep, deep desire to hurt somebody, then I guess. I don't know. People are really into that now. And look, I understand why everybody's so pissed off and in such a horseshit mood, because if you watch the news, a lot of programming right now, it's all very, very negative. That thing popped up again. I think it's been around for a few years now, where picnic is racist. Did you guys see that?
Where picnic is
racist? Like
going
on a picnic?
Going on a picnic, or the word picnic is racist.
I mean, I guess I could put 2 and 2 together on how the origin of the word might have come around, but this is the first I've ever heard of.
Okay, put 2 and 2 together. How did it come around? Because I just happen to know.
Because you're picking the big end that you're going to auction off back in the day.
So that's how they read that.
I would assume. I don't that like if you're just telling me.
No, I agree. I think that's how they read it. You're absolutely right. Yeah. Picnic is French, first of all. The real spelling of picnic is Picque, Nique. It's French. It means to gather outdoors and eat with your friends. That's what it means.
Yeah.
But people are now taking if the N in the alphabet shows up anywhere, it's a shot at black people. It's like, no, settle down.
Yeah, pretty much. Well, I remember seeing there was a while ago the term monkey wrench apparently used to be racist or something like that. Or like when you say like, oh, you threw a monkey wrench in the thing. Like, so everything, people will try very, very hard to make everything racist.
But why are they that hateful? It's a French term. It's not even English. They spelled it differently in English, but it's a French term.
Yeah, and I think words evolve over time. Like they probably used some slang thing that was derogatory towards women that nobody remembers, that, you know, was just an everyday word. Like I remember when we were in middle school, we had a Russian foreign exchange student, and we made up a word that was not English and convinced her that it was a swear word. So like it's less about the word you're saying and like the intent behind it.
I suppose, but the word's the word. The word has a meaning. It was meant to describe something very specific.
Yeah.
No, I do agree with you that people misuse words constantly, but I do not understand going to the lengths that one person did, because this all started about 15 years ago, something like that. This guy decided a picnic was racist, that people would gather at benches outdoors and watch them hang black people. That's what he came up with. What a crock of shit. Why do you want to spread hatred that badly that you have to completely make up? Isn't there enough bad stuff the way it is that you have to make something else up? Right?
Yeah. There's no reason to add negative connotation to the word picnic. It already has a negative connotation. Having to transfer a bunch of food to a second location and sitting on the ground in general to me is like a 4-letter word. So I'm trying to think the last time I had a picnic.
Yeah. You know what would make this ham sandwich a lot better is if we went to the park and ate.
A chair.
Absolutely.
A lot of dirt and ants. That's the perfect side snack.
I've never understood picnicking. I got to be honest with you. I'm not a big picnic guy, except when the bear used to go, Yogi Bear, my picnic basket.
Yeah.
Hey, boo-boo.
Hey, boo-boo, my picnic basket.
So is Yogi Bear the most racist cartoon?
Yeah, see? Typical.
Yeah, the only time you should be having a picnic is if you're like going to the beach. I feel like that's just a natural, like, bring some food while we're hanging out at the beach. That's acceptable. But just to go out of your way to sit outside, nah.
I was going to read the entire Jimmy Kimmel story, but it goes on and on and on, and it ain't pretty. I'll tell you that. These two guys hate one another. I mean, big time hatred for one another, but it all works out in the end. Like I said, I have never seen Jimmy. I've seen a couple of his monologues, which were okay. Once again, you guys have these kind of icons in your lives too, but Johnny Carson was the greatest talk show host of all time, and nobody's ever going to be any better at it. They're not going to be. That's just how it is. So Jimmy Kimmel, Jimmy Fallon, and Steve Colbert are terrible actually at that job. All three of them are terrible at the job. They're not there to entertain. They're there to kiss ass politically. That's all. Johnny Carson never did that, ever. Did you know that?
Yeah. I mean, he's a legend. I think he definitely, the more you learn about him, it's very interesting. You know, he would never talk to the guests when the cameras weren't on because he wanted to keep the conversation for the show. And I think that was David
Letterman. That was not.
Oh, I thought that was Johnny Carson as well.
David Letterman.
Oh, and I watched an interview recently with Johnny Carson and Drew Barrymore when she was very little.
Right. I remember that.
It might be the best interview I've ever seen in my life. It was so freaking cute. And she was just this little thing. And I highly recommend going back and watching it because it's not easy to interview a kid. And he just nailed it. It was so cute.
Yeah.
Johnny Carson had the most brilliant line in the history of hosting a show. Do you remember what he said to Jane Fonda? And if you don't know who Jane Fonda is, she's stunningly beautiful. I was lucky enough. She actually hugged me and gave me a kiss on the cheek the last time I saw her.
And you haven't showered since.
I have. Well, that wasn't the only reason I haven't showered. You know, I'm just not big on being clean and all that. This actually happened on live television because that was before they used to record at 4:00 in the afternoon, then run it at night. They used to do the show live. This appeared on national television. You can find it online. Jane Fonda comes out. Johnny Carson goes, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Jane Fonda. Big round of applause. She walks out and she's holding a cat. And he didn't know she was going to bring the cat. So she sits down and puts the cat on her lap. And Johnny keeps looking at it and looking at her and looking at it. And she notices he's kind of distracted by it. And she says to Johnny Carson on live television, Johnny, would you like to pet my pussy? And he said, yeah, move the cat. That was on live national television. What would happen if they did that today?
Probably burn the studio down.
No, I bet that would play. I bet that would be funny. I mean, I don't know. You know who I loved, who had the best bits ever, was Conan. I think Conan O'Brien had some of the
Conan
best.
had good bits. Yep.
He had great bits. He was so funny. And like, there was nothing more exciting than watching Conan like terrorize people in his office. Like there was something very exciting about him running around with his assistant. And like, I remember she was showing him her car and how she needed a new car. And it was just so funny to see him like in the wild with his employees. Cause they just got such a big kick out of him.
I have a question for you guys. Why do we have Stephen Colbert why didn't they bring Conan over to do that show?
I think by the time they offered it to him, he was done. He was already out.
Oh, really? Okay.
He's got now a podcast.
Right.
And he does I think he now is so used to not working for the network after he left. I think that bridge had been burned. I mean, they really screwed him over with the Jay Leno time slot and then like him not retiring. I mean, I think he got strung along for a long time.
And if you
go ahead. Sorry.
Towards the end of his stint with TBS, he had kind of gotten to the reputation of like what Brittany was saying, like his remotes and whatnot, doing stuff around the office or like going to like a deli and doing stuff there. They eventually had him do like tours or like Conan abroad or something like that. Conan on tour. You go to different countries and do those stuff. And you could just like tell, and he's talked about this, like that is when he's had the most fun, is going and exploring and being able to be himself, but in different parts of the world. And it's weird because like he'll go to like Finland and he's like a mass beloved superstar, like the Beatles touching down and stuff like that. Or he'll go somewhere in the Middle East and it's just, he'll go to some hookah store or whatever. And, he can't really talk to the guy but he ends up buying some display pot for an insane amount of money and then gets pissed about it and has to try to return it and stuff like that. He would like that. And that's not something he'd be able to do anymore. Going back to like the full network job, like doing that every night. So he his podcast form and just the more free time has allowed him to do more of that traveling content. And so he's kind of stuck with that more now.
Well, I think it's a good idea. It's a wonderful thing. I mean, the only thing that I've been looking at, because everybody in the world now, I don't care if it's the guy who opens a door for you when you leave the building in the morning, he's got a podcast. Everybody's got a podcast now. Have you noticed that?
Yeah. Well, they're getting to be so popular. Like, are you familiar with the Club Shay Shay, Shannon Sharp?
Shannon Sharp.
He like broke the internet last week with Cat Williams came on his show and just, you want to talk about telling everybody secrets. Cat Williams started drinking and just Steve Harvey stole this joke and Cedric the Entertainer stole that joke. And I was at a Hollywood meeting where he accused Harvey Weinstein of trying to do like sexual things to him. And like, it's been making the rounds to the point where like he called out Kevin Hart. Kevin Hart had to go online and defend himself. So yeah, it's podcasts are the new kind of thing for high celebrity type people.
Oh, and I mean, not just them. First of all, every time you watch a CNN or CNBC or a Fox or whatever, it always at the bottom says homemaker and podcaster. Everybody's got a podcast. Is it going to be tough for people to break through on podcasting? I mean, unless you had a history of broadcasting, it's going to be a bitch to break through in podcasting, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, it's very tough because if you get, but even if you only get, 2,000 listeners, you're still in like the top 10% because like you said, everybody and their mother has one, where you'll get some guy that does a podcast because he's got 2 friends that listen every week.
But it's all like, what are your goals? Because some people use podcasts to initiate conversations with clients and like, hey, come on my podcast. Or some people just want to. So it's like, it depends what you deem successful, right? Because I don't think what's nice about podcast format is it's low overhead, and you don't as long as you're having a good time, it's probably successful. And if you change the idea of it doesn't have to just be mass consumption.
You haven't seen the monthly billing on this podcast, have you?
Yeah, ours is a little bit more high end.
It's inexpensive to get in, is it? Yeah, okay.
But let's say I, Brittany Arneson, on my own, just alone, wanted to start a podcast with Tevin, and we both agreed neither of us are getting paid. We could do that at our house for sure. I mean, with low overhead.
Yes, right.
Yeah, this one's the video, the whole setup is a chef's kiss. Mwah.
Really? That's what we're going with.
Beautiful,
man. It's absolutely beautiful. No, I mean the one part of it that I do not like is the bigger name comedians now do not want to go on radio or podcasts because they have their own podcast to promote. I don't. That made me sad because that's too bad that they don't want to do a lot of other shows.
Yeah. Unless your name is Joe Rogan, they really don't want to go on. Yep. Unless it's like another comedian, because they don't want to get caught in a gotcha moment. And then they also go, well, if you're not getting 100 million people watching every episode, I don't want to do it.
Yeah, that's about it. There's no question about it. But he gets Joe Rogan does 10, 11 million per episode, something like that.
I would say that's probably fairly accurate. Let's see here.
I think it is. I'm not sure about that or whatever. Joe and I never got along too well. I only spoke to him a few times, but we're not the same kind of person. I don't know if that's good or bad for either one of us, though.
Yeah, about 11 million people. It looks.
That's what I thought. That's worth some money, a couple $100 million. Not bad.
Yeah.
Not too bad. No question about it. Well, hey, look, I got a couple of relatives that listen to Joe Rogan. They love the guy. They think he just does. Well, first of all, when you got your Joe Rogan and you're sitting there talking to The Rock, pretty much everybody's going to listen to that.
Yeah.
He has a cult-like passionate.
He does. Yeah.
Like there's people that don't miss a single episode, and everything that he says, you would think that it was gospel.
Oh no, you're absolutely right. And he only does like a couple or like 2 a week, doesn't he? He doesn't do one every day. I think it's 2 a week or maybe 3 a week sometimes.
Yeah.
But I suppose it's whenever the guests are available. But he was very smart about that. I got to be honest with you. Joe was an okay host on a couple of shows. He appeared as a character on other shows. He was okay at it. He was never really all that good. I didn't ever think his stand-up was that good, but it was good enough to drive him to do what he did. So, I mean, hats off to Joe Rogan. And like I said, I don't even get along with the guy. I think he's a smug asshole, to tell you the truth. But he figured it out before anybody else did. I mean, it was brilliant what he did.
And whether it was, him doing it intentionally or just kind of being in the right place at the right time, he had kind of that. He had that Fear Factor run back in the day where everybody kind of knew him from that. Like I never even realized he did stand up, and he was so he had kind of that family demographic and younger demographic that watched Fear Factor, and then he got into the MMA world, and MMA has taken off, and so he kind of got to help ride that wave and get that fan base as well. And then obviously his comedy background, he gets all the biggest comedians. So he's able to kind of touch all aspects of media. And
it's funny, Tom, because I never thought about it like this, but because he wasn't that successful in other fields, he was forced to seek something else. And because of that, he's been far more successful in his backup plan. And so like sometimes it's like to look at, I don't want to say failure, because obviously he's a successful, but to look at failure differently, to force your hand to do something different is going to be in the long run so beneficial. And it's just kind of like, all right, maybe all my failures will lead to I'll invent something amazing.
Andy Fisher, my dearest friend in the world, his father, Andrew Fisher Jr., because my Andy Fisher was the third. He once told me I think about an 11-year-old, he said, Tom, the best advice I could ever give you, because all the guys in the neighborhood knew my father wasn't around. So they all took my friends' fathers, all were really nice to me. He said, the number one thing you have to learn in the world, Tom, is learn something from your failures. I thought that was brilliant.
That is brilliant.
And I'm not saying he made it up or anything. Maybe he did.
No, it doesn't matter. But even the fact that he took his time to tell you that is just so, it's just so sweet.
Yeah. So, I mean, hats off to Joe Rogan. He saw an opening and he took it, and he's done very, very. How is Adam Carolla doing these days? How many downloads does he have every day or every episode? Because Adam blew this business sky high. I mean, he was the superstar, no doubt.
He's another one that is kind of the, I guess, Mount Rushmore of, successful podcasts. Like, to the point where I remember working at the House of Comedy, and comedians that would go on Joe Rogan's podcast as a guest would use that as a credit.
Absolutely.
Like, it was almost as valuable, if not more valuable, than being in a movie or having, something on TV. They'd be like, I was on Joe Rogan's show, and so that's why you should book me.
No, I could understand, because exposure to 11 million people for television these days, they would love an audience like that, because television audiences aren't anywhere near as big as they used to be.
No.
They're just not. I mean, there's still big numbers. Don't get me wrong. There's still billions of dollars to be made in the business, but it's not. Look, I mean, back then when there was channel 4, 5, 9, and 11 in the Twin Cities, and that was about it. That business has changed quite a bit since then. So, very, very smart moves. Did anybody ever come up with a figure on Adam Carolla's show downloads?
This number might be a little bit dated because it's from an article from a few years ago, but it looks like Podcast One estimates that the Adam Carolla show attracts between 700 and 800,000 per episode, and can get upwards to like around 1 million per episode based on like who's on and the contents of it. But he does it a little more frequently than like Joe Rogan. So
he does. Yeah, he does one every day, doesn't he?
Yeah, I believe it's daily, five days a week.
It is 5 days a week. By the way, great. I've been on his show a couple of times. You couldn't ask for a better host. Adam is a terrific host. You guys have met Adam, haven't you? I'm sure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, only through the phone. I don't think maybe we had him in studio at the Q.
Well, back when you were Whitney?
When I was quitting. I'm still quitting. I'll quit any day.
Oh, I know. I'm expecting it any minute. As a matter of fact, Whitney. She's back at it again, ladies and gentlemen. Well, and look, now that we're out in public, let me be very specific. The fact that you quit a job just because the people in manage the place were a bunch of assholes is no excuse.
Well, then what is a good excuse to quit?
Look at the other two just going, we're not going to comment on that one at all.
Oh, it was so nice because I remember
another break.
I remember Tom.
We'll break here.
It was so funny, Tom, too, because it was like we can't give you what you want, and I know working conditions are A, B, and C, but that's too bad. And I was like, oh, I'm gonna quit then. And you would have thought that they were like, what? Like, because nobody.
They were shocked.
Job. Yeah, and it was it was so powerful to quit. Like, there is something very powerful behind just like, and I'm not gonna do it. And I was like, I'll put in my 2 weeks, and they're like, we don't even have radio people put in 2 weeks. I was like, I don't know what to do here.
All right. Well, because you stayed on the show for a couple of weeks after you quit.
Yeah, of course. Because I was like, I'll train anybody in 2 weeks. I didn't know what to do.
You're going to train somebody in? Talk about a disaster.
Here was Brittany's job. Hello, thank you for calling the Tom Barnard Morning Show.
No, at that point, they'd taken away phones and given it to an intern. So at that point, I didn't even have phones. I was just sitting there hanging.
What a world it is. There's no question. I got to say something here, and it's not going to happen across the board. It's eventually going to happen, no question about it. But podcasting is becoming very, very big. I'm very happy to be on a podcast, all the rest of it. But it does bother me seeing all these huge, and by the way, I'm not saying this just because I work with them. I don't work for the Hubbards. I work with them. They are doing very, very well financially. Nearly everyone in broadcasting now is deeply in debt, and it's just about over. You're going to have only companies that are not in debt that are going to survive. That's just a fact, right? Mm-hmm. And we talked about this 8 years ago on the Q, as a matter of fact, that there's a day of reckoning coming for this business. It ain't going to last much longer because podcasting has completely taken over that universe. Don't you think?
Yeah, I think the business has already changed quite a bit. I
think yes.
Yeah, I think it'll continue to change. Like, I do see a platform of them pretty much treating everybody like freelance and then picking up podcasts to fill on air for radio and just
probably
kind of picking and choosing content and trusting in the management elsewhere. You know what I mean? Like, if let's say we weren't owned by Hubbard and we were just a little podcast just existing on our own, I could see them kind of shopping like, oh, hey, let's grab this Tom Barnard podcast. And we'll also grab this for the sake of like AJ podcast. And we'll grab, and create lineups that way.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's what they're going to do. You're absolutely right. That's exactly what they've been doing. And that's what they're going to do. I mean, Joe's show, Garage Logic does very, very well. Score North does really, really well. Those guys, I mean, Hubbard's, working with the Hubbards does work. It takes a bit. There's no question.
Yeah.
But it's a hell of a good company to work with.
And even podcasting has changed since it's been around. Like when it first started, it was, just a microphone and it was essentially just radio that you did on the internet. And now it's, you have to, if you don't have video or, video, bring in more video elements and pictures and multimedia, you're not like, you have to make yourself stand out. So people are doing, it's more of almost a low budget TV show.
Yeah.
Tom, I wonder if they do that, like let's say radio stations grab content, right? Like they buy our content, then
which they should.
Like, I wonder if in that case, they don't have to manage people. And then also, would they not have to pay us benefits at all? Like they could have it.
No, because the home company that owns the podcast would take care of that.
Okay.
Yeah, they're going to have to go with the cheapest programming they can find, obviously, to promote your podcast on around the country on radio stations would be very good for your podcast. So it's a win-win for everybody. It doesn't cost the radio station anything, but you get all this exposure and therefore drive revenues way up. There's a brilliant plan, but people are fighting it so far. They're going to stop fighting it, I would imagine, in the next like year, maybe 2 years from now, something like that.
I think they'll pivot and go with whatever works, right? Like that's what we've concluded, and I'm sure there'll be unique stations that still have people there, but like it definitely, it's been fun to watch the landscape change and be in it for sure.
Yeah,
it's kind of sad for me though as a young boy, because WCCO AM was a huge radio station. I mean, huge numbers, the talent on that show, whether it was Howard Viken or Steve Cannon or the morning show, with Charlie and Roger were just fantastic. Really, to grow up being able to listen to that as a boy and realize they don't have phony disc jockey voices or any of that stuff. They didn't do any of that stuff.
Yeah.
So I got to be honest with you, even though they're, I suppose, a competitor at this point, Chad Hartman is a dear friend of mine, so I feel bad about that too. Some of the people over there are very, very nice people. Some of them I think are a massive pain in the ass, but I think the same thing of this show for I'm saying.
Speaking of we got it. Speaking of I just realized we didn't do we're missing a break.
No, we're not.
I thought we haven't done our 9:15 break.
We don't have one.
Oh, okay.
Thanks for bringing it up though. I really appreciate that.
Oh.
I'm going to let Uncle Tommy run the show here.
Oh, sorry. I didn't know there wasn't one. I was just all of a sudden laughing, thinking about the Pat thing.
Do you see one on there, AJ? Because I don't.
That's probably me not labeling it correctly. We do have one, but nothing that I need to just like keep track of during the break.
Oh, okay.
Well, so we do have a break.
Yes.
Oh, well, please put that on there next time, because on my sheet it says they don't.
That's my fault.
Okay, you're fired. That's going to be AJ's last day. It's a goddamn disaster.
Now here during the break.
Yeah, I got you.
No, we're only 25 minutes behind now because of this. But, other than that, everything is good. Here, let me show you this sheet. There you go, right there. You see where it says 9:10 there? You see that? Nothing listed. You guys are such millennials. That's all I have to say.
You're welcome.
Yeah, you're welcome. We'll be right back right after this.
This is the Tom Barnard Show. Listen live at tombarnardshow.com or on the Tom Barnard Show app.
You know the song Kokomo? It's supposed to be off the Florida Keys, right? Hate to break your Beach Boys bubble, but that's a fictitious place they made up for the song. Fortunately for the rest of us, the Florida Keys island chain are as real as the taxes you have to pay in Minnesota if you're a resident. Now that's a reason to move south. In addition to Florida and all of Monroe County being beautiful, the Keys from Key Largo to Key West are even more beautiful. This is Tom Barnard, part-time Florida resident myself. And if you want a second house or a new retirement home or want to become a Floridian, may I suggest you contact Matt Carlson from One Key West Realty. Matt grew up in Litchfield. He's a super real estate agent when it comes to finding your tropical island space in the Keys. He lives there and here, and Matt knows what's best in Key West to buy. for your second home in Florida. Matt teamed up with fellow Minnesotan from Sartell and Alexandria, Kristyn Eklund, who's one of the top mortgage brokers in the country from Coast to Coast Mortgage. She'll get you the financing you need to buy a home in Florida or in Minnesota. Matt's part of the Lake Sotheby's International Realty Group here in Minnesota, and Kristyn, his mortgage colleague, lives and works in the Keys, so they both know the Florida Keys' new and existing homes for sale and are Minnesotan through and through. Contact them by heading to onekeywest.com. That's onekeywest.com.
Jim Paul of Valley Buick GMC has a mutiny on his hands. His sales crew said they've had it brooming snow off the new Buicks and GMCs, then warm them up, move them to plow, and repark them again. He even overheard them cooking up an alternative plan, a sale.
This is crazy. Why don't we just mark them down and sell them?
This is getting real old to be out on that lot in this sub-zero weather.
That's right. Everyone we sell is one less to broom.
I heard we're supposed to get 6 more inches tomorrow.
I'm 5'6". How am I supposed to get the snow off the roof of a pickup?
I'm Jim Paul, and well, car dealers do have all kinds of crazy sales. This idea probably makes more sense than most. There's plenty of inventory, so okay, the crew has decided.
So then it's official. The We Don't Want to Broom snow sale is in full force at Valley Buick GMC in Apple Valley and Hastings. Snowy inventory priced real right at valleycardealers.com.
You have all helped support MyPillow and their employees in these tough economic times. Mike Lindell knows this and continues to give back to listeners with great deals on his most popular products. Right now, you can save 50% on Queen and King pillows and the original My Slippers, and the MyPillow 6-pack bath towel sets are back in stock. The proprietary technology makes them extremely absorbent, yet still provides that soft feel you look for in a towel. Set comes with 2 bath towels, 2 hand towels, and 2 washcloths. Regular price is $79.98. And for a limited time, you can get this 6-pack towel set for only $39.99 with promo code TOM. That's a 50% savings. So go to MyPillow.com, use promo code TOM to save 50% on the MyPillow 6-pack towel sets. That is just $39.99 for a set. This deal will not last long. Enter promo code TOM for this special. We are back, ladies and gentlemen. I'm just looking at the log for the rest of the day. These are not complete, I'm assuming. The list.
Oh, it's yeah. So the way I mark it down in ways that like we'll double up for clients on spots and whatnot. So I just have to make sure I marked like the first time, or like this is what I need to mark down to like fulfill for just the history of it. So
right, but I do need to know all of the spots that are going to run.
Okay.
I need to. Everything on the show has to be on the list, because otherwise, when I talk to management and because I talk to clients and that stuff all the time, so I just I should have to know what they are.
Yeah, I can do that moving forward.
No, because the show's going to change next week. Not going to really talk about what's going to change next week. So I didn't want anybody to think that what just happened is the reason the show is changing, because it's not. I just wanted you to know that up front. Although I probably still should get rid of AJ, don't you think, Brittany and Tevin?
Hands down. I mean, menace.
Get out. He's leaving right now. He's walking out the door. There he goes. Boy, your hair is getting long, Buster. Is that the longest your hair has ever been?
It is, yeah.
Yeah, I would imagine so. It's getting really... Turn around for 1 second. Look at that.
Let it wave in the breeze a little bit. We should get you like a Head and Shoulders.
Oh, wow. You know what we should do? You should let me straighten it. Let me straighten it and see how long we can get it.
Oh, that sounds like a lot of work.
It is.
It does indeed. You know, I never had really long hair like I never had hair anywhere near as long as yours. I had longer hair, but isn't it a massive pain? Don't you have to like wash your hair like twice a day because there's so much of it?
No, I feel like I'm just enjoying it while I have it. Like, I know what my dad looks like. He's bald.
Oh, that's what it is. Okay.
But no, I mean, I don't do too much to it. I've been using the same, like, I get it off Amazon. It's 3-in-1 shampoo, body wash.
Oh,
very good.
Conditioner. I shower, I blow dry it, and then we're good to go.
Stop.
Out the door, baby.
3-in-1. No, here's the thing.
I think that's wonderful.
I know you have a somewhat busy life, but you're not that busy. Okay, we can separate the shampoo and conditioner out. All right.
But
how about Prel? Should he use Prel?
I don't know what that is.
I know exactly what Perel is. I can see the green bottle.
The green bottle. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Prel.
No, he shouldn't.
No, not Prel. It's not working that way. All the rest of it. No, I don't know. Because back in my teens, that's when that whole hippie movement started and guys started growing their hair long and all the rest of that stuff. So I don't know. I had longer hair, but I think the problem was for me, because I can't grow a mustache or a beard, that having longer hair without I do think that longer hair looks better with a beard. Do you not agree with that?
Sure.
Yeah, I guess I've never thought of it.
It does, doesn't it?
Yeah. I think it just makes more sense. It's like the full picture's there. Yeah.
Well, just look at the fine picture that AJ's got up on the internet right
I have the least fine picture possible.
Yeah. AJ would look weird, I think, without a beard, and maybe that's just because that's all I know him as, having long hair and a beard. But yeah, I couldn't picture him not having that and still having the long hair.
I could understand that 100%, no question about that. I'm going to delay the break until about 55 because they'll be too close together. Don't you think? So 55. But from now on, we'll have all the spots listed on there, so I won't do things like we don't have a break here. Let's move on. By the way, how was I supposed to know that if you didn't list anything?
Yeah, that in hindsight.
Do.
When I was doing it yesterday, I was like, you know what? This makes sense to me. So let's just roll with it. But no,
it's all about you. Okay, I see.
I need to be more open-minded. It's not always all about me.
Whatever. So yeah, coming up, we got 3 more shows this week. Then we got a 3-day weekend because of Martin Luther King Day. Then after that, we're going to shorten the show up somewhat, and it's going to be much more podcast-like than a morning show. We're still going to do a morning show. Don't get me wrong, but it's going to be pretty fast-paced, I think. It sounds like to me, but I think it's a great idea, and we will keep moving forward in that direction. But the one thing I got to tell you before we move on from haircuts, guys, when you shave everything on your head except for the very top of it, so all of this is bald all the way around, and then you have a little ponytail, you look like you have a pork chop on your head. I want you to know that.
I agree.
It doesn't look like a pork chop, doesn't it?
There was this I remember.
What?
I don't know what I was expecting you to compare it to, but a pork chop was not on my bingo.
It's so accurate, though. Like, honestly, now that you say it, that's the only thing I can see. I used to sit behind this kid, and it was like, I was like, now I think back, and I never teased him for it, but I'm like, I love that he did this. I want to say his name was Eddie or something with an E, but he had high and tight everywhere, just extremely short, high and tight.
Right. Yep.
But then he was working on this rat tail.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
But like, I kind of look back and go, get some kid, like, you know what I mean? Because that, like, I'm sure you got teased about it. And
the worst haircut I remember, like the trend, was when they would essentially shave their whole head, relatively short, but then they had the long bangs.
Yes.
Whatever. That was the worst.
My husband, he'll talk about this in the most trauma-based way. So he grew up, he was big man on campus at Shevlin. He went to a school that had maybe 40 people in their class. He was valedictorian, hotshot McGee. And then he went into college with that same bowl cut that he had been rocking at school. And he literally, I think it was like his sophomore year, somebody pulled him aside and was like, you got to lose the bowl cut. And he was like, I was wondering why freshman year, I was like, there was not moths to a flame kind of vibe that he used to have growing up. And we laugh about how long he had that bowl cut. He just held on to it. And it was an aggressive one too.
He just looked like a mushroom.
Mm-hmm.
I'll track it down someday. I don't know where I'd even find it, to tell you the truth. But there was a time when I was, I think, maybe 16, 17 years old. I used to part my hair down the middle.
Yeah.
And I had a Fu Manchu mustache.
No way.
It was like 5 different colors. Oh, yeah. The Fu Manchu. No, absolutely. That was a big deal when I was a kid. Everybody had that cooking. But my friends, they looked beautiful. Mine was like, okay, it's gray here, and then it's brown here, and then it's black here, and then it's blonde here. It was like 5 different colors. I'm not kidding.
I would love to see a photo of that.
I got some around some. I'll have to dig someone. It's not a good look. Let me just tell you that.
Things I want from you. I want that photo, and I want video or audio of your mom because I want to hear her voice so bad, and maybe a picture of your ma as well with you.
We should play some audio of my mother talking to me. You'd love it because I'd be going, "Hey, Mom." Well, back then I was going to say, "Hey, Mom, what's up?" "Well, I tell you." She had a much deeper voice than I did. It was unbelievable. Of course, she had the Pall Malls cooking 24 hours a day, so that probably didn't hurt. Not a drinker, though. She had I bet you my mother had maybe 5 cocktails a year.
Okay.
Yeah, she'd have one on Thanksgiving. She'd have one on Christmas, have one on New Year's, maybe Valentine's Day and her birthday, and that was about it. That was everything. But I do miss that woman. Honest to God, I tell you flat out. Well, it's kind of tough for me right now, too, because even though I couldn't stand the son of a bitch, it was my father. It's my father's birthday today, but it's my brother Troy's birthday tomorrow.
Oh.
You knew Troy, didn't you?
Yeah, I got to meet Troy. That's pretty cool.
So.
That feels like a badge of honor.
That was a tough call that day that, hey, your brother's in the hospital and he's not going to make it. I'm like, what are you talking about? He's like 15 years younger than I am.
That messes with you. That's
forever.
I can't imagine. I went down this whole mind thing yesterday. I was running and I was like, I can't imagine my mom not being here. And then of course I can't imagine my brother and my sister not being here.
Yeah, it's tough. Well, Catherine lost her sister now too. So it's just, it's an unfortunate situation. I hope it never happens to you guys until you're much, much older, because it's a bitch. I will tell you that, especially your youngest brother. I'm like, what the hell? So basically all of us guys in the top end, like Terry and me, did all the troublemaking and all the boozing and smoking and all the rest of it. Troy, the youngest, didn't do any of it. Well, he might have boozed it up a little bit, but
maybe a little bit.
Just might be a little here and a little there, but yeah. So this period, and you know what's really sad about that is you go into it, you got Thanksgiving is great, and then you edge toward Christmas. But the problem is when Christmas comes, and I still do love Christmas, no doubt about it. New Year, all that. But I just realized when Christmas comes, 2 weeks later, I have to think about my brother dying, for Christ.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
That makes it tough. What are you going to do? People are going to croak. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And, it's one of those things where we're so uncomfortable with being sad and telling people we're sad.
Yeah.
And there's something very powerful with being like, I'm a little sad today. Like, I don't know. There's something that comes with that like the world around you softens up a little bit if you just kind of admit it to people around you.
No question. I still love the fact that my father, who never liked me, he and I never got along. He's dying in the hospital, and he asked for me. And I was confused the whole way up there. I was like, what the hell did he ask for me? He never liked me. What the hell does he want? So I get up there, and he's got tubes down his throat. He weighs about 80 pounds, for Christ's sake.
Wow.
And he had to write on a chalkboard because he couldn't talk because he had those tubes down his throat and all that stuff. I walk over, he writes on the chalkboard and it falls down in his chest. I pick it up and turn around and says, "Get me out of here." I was like, "Dad, you haven't changed a bit. The only time you ever reach out to me is when you need something." That was the only time.
At that point, were you pretty big in radio at that, when all that happened, when he called?
No, I was doing big time voiceover at that time. I was, going to Chicago and New York and Los Angeles and cutting spots and doing all that kind of stuff. So yeah, I was doing very well in the voiceover business before, the local newspapers destroyed my career by calling me names that weren't true. But other than that.
But he died knowing you had made it, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, he did indeed. But, what are you going to do?
I just mean there's something, even though I'm sure he's as a different mind frame than I do or whatever, but there's something I'd be very thankful for if I had died knowing that Margot was okay. You know what I mean?
That's a big part of it. Yeah.
So I don't know I can't pretend to know what mind frame your dad has, but I hope that gave him some peace. I don't know if he cared enough about that, but I would think a little bit of him would know. At least I know my kids are okay.
Right.
They're going to be fine.
Did you ever see the movie Beautiful Mind?
Yeah.
That was my father. He was a brilliant man. I mean, brilliant, but had no idea. Well, he lost his mind. He went nuts. They put him in the nut house, as they say. But look, the one thing I will say that I have to give my father, and it's kind of, it's not what he intended, but it's the way it happened. Ethan was over here yesterday with Andy and Melissa. And whenever Alex's kids come around, I promised myself, because of my father, I would treat my children, my grandchildren, and if I ever have great-grandchildren, 100% the best I possibly could. So I learned how not to do things from my father. And do I blame him? No, he was mentally ill. He was crazy. There's no question about that. He was also a prick, but that's part of the deal. It's just being honest. But the one thing the gift that I got from him is I learned how not to be uncaring.
Yeah.
So, and I'm grateful for that. I'll be very honest with you. I'm very grateful for that.
I have pity for people who didn't get to enjoy, and maybe and obviously it's because of your dad's choice or my dad's choices, that they didn't get to enjoy kids on the level me and my husband get to enjoy our
Absolutely.
kids and your family, because man, Gogo makes us laugh like 4 times a day. Like that
No
laugh
doubt about it.
where I go, nothing makes me laugh like this, her obsession with cheese lately, everything we're doing, to wake up immediately and go, cheese?
Yep.
Cheese? Like it's like within a half second of her opening her eyes, she'll go, cheese? I go, sure, let's do it. Like,
I love that.
So yeah, I have pity for people who don't get to enjoy that.
But if you learn something from it, look, I am still grateful to my father, even though it wasn't intentional on his part, as he taught me how not to act.
Yeah, no, I agree.
And I'm grateful for that.
I also I found Margot the kind of dad that no matter what happens to me and Justin, if we go our separate ways someday or whatever, and God forbid, like, I'm just saying, if we
what
ever
I heard, but
no, because I'm from a divorced
you
family.
throw that in way after.
No, okay, hear me out.
Home like, whoa,
right, just in case Justin's listening.
No, just like hear me out, like. Because I'm used to, I come from a divorced family, so I throw it out there very quickly. So it's like not a big deal to me to be like, oh, if we ever get divorced, I know that Justin will always be in Margot's life. Like I don't know why that's so important to me. I think it's because I had the kind of family that, like,
that's why it is.
I gave Margot the best dad ever. And so
so it was your choice that was so great. Even better than what a great guy he is. The fact that you made the choice, you're the hero.
It's not what you know, it's who you know and who you let impregnate you.
Oh, it is. Okay, well, good. Well, then what the hell was Catherine thinking?
Girl, I'm still asking. Every day I'm messing her messages. Every day I'm texting her.
I don't even deny that.
Yeah.
I would believe that you probably do every day. We do have to take that break and we catch up with everything here. We'll be right back in a couple of minutes right after this.
This is the Tom Barnard Show.
Tom here, and I want to discuss a partnership that has been wonderful in my life, Zero Res Carpet Care. Very good friends of mine. Nothing is better to someone with a family than having a completely clean home. Your carpet is the biggest filter in your house. If you want to talk about pet dander or foot traffic, dirt from the outside, they all eventually reside in your carpet. So, Zero Res Carpet Care. Listen, around the holidays, you need to contact ZeroResMinnesota.com or call 952-ZEROREZ. That's 952-ZERO-RES. They clean your home with their electrolyzed pH-elevated water that doesn't use chemicals or soaps that smell like a janitor's closet like other cleaning services. How about a Tom Barnard deal? Well, here it is. Get 3 rooms, 0 resified, starting at $129, and don't forget your air ducts. Mention me, and they'll discount your air vents by $75 too. This is for the entire month, so call them right now, 952-0-RES, backward or forwarded, spells the same, or book online, ZeroResMinnesota.com. If it's available, ask for them to come to your place in the Tom Barnard named service truck. What an honor that was, by the way. Just mention me by name and get the special deal to get your home clean and your heart happy. Zero Res Carpet Care. Why should your business bank with North American Banking Company? Here's Landon and Gavin Miller of D&B Plating.
I've always been impressed with their speed of answers to our questions, and that has allowed us to expand and capitalize on opportunities in the market. North American Banking Company has never made us feel like a number. They've always treated us as a partner.
For more information about North American Banking Company, go to nabankco.com or stop by any one of their Twin Cities locations. Member FDIC, equal housing lender.
The Tom Barnard Show is proud to have partners like North American Banking Company, Bradshaw and Bryant, and attorney and advertiser Dave Bielke.
I've been advertising on Tom Barnard shows for years. I like Tom, not just because he's a good guy, but because the ads I run on his show bring me new clients that are hurt at work and need legal help. Tommy B works for me.
If you'd like to find out more about growing your business with the Tom Barnard Show, go to tombarnardshow.com, keyword partner. Tom Barnard is back. Every weekday, you'll hear Tommy B, Brittany Arneson. Yes, that Brittany Arneson. Along with Tom's pals Kent Herbeck on Fridays, Bob Sansevier, Mike Stretch Gelfand, Tim Lammers, and from Channel 5 Eyewitness News, Chris Egert and Kristen Burt on entertainment and pop culture. It's Tom and the crew with opinions on news, opinions on life, opinions on entertainment, and of course, opinions on other people's stupid opinions. The Tom Barnard Show is a podcast, so you can listen when you want to listen. In the car, on the way to or from work, at home, on the job site, or wherever you need your Tommy B Show fix. Hear the show on the Tom Barnard Show app in your app store, as a podcast on Spotify, Apple, or wherever you get your podcasts, or see it on YouTube on the Tom Barnard Show channel.
She's got a lot. God, I haven't talked to Amy in quite some time. The hell has she been up to?
I saw her last week quite a bit. That woman is busy.
Doing what?
I have no idea. Nobody's ever given me a real job. They like go to meetings all the time, and then like I have no idea. They're always her and Brooke and Jess. They're always running around doing stuff.
That is probably a fact. Andy's with us now. We got it. Where's that camera that was over there for Mom?
Here it is, right here.
Oh, it's never even taken out of the box?
No, doesn't look like it.
We got a camera set. We got a camera set here, but nobody has set it up yet.
Yeah, theoretically, I could plug this into the laptop here, and that would work.
Well, if you want to do it, works for me.
When you said Andy is here now, I like checked over my shoulder because his shirt blends in with the background, and I was like, "Wait, is he?"
It does. You're right.
No, I couldn't see him. Like,
he only has one left arm and one half of his face, but that's about it.
Andy, how's Ethan liking Florida?
He's liking it quite a bit.
Yeah. What are the activities what he likes doing there?
Mostly going for walks for now, but we're going to be going to the beach pretty soon.
Oh, fun.
I have a feeling that's going to be a big hit.
Oh, I would imagine with Ethan that the ocean would be. He's going to try to figure out how to rein it all in. All these waves coming up. I got to figure out how to use that.
Yeah, he will.
He loves that stuff. There's no question about it. While Andy's setting that up, which one of you guys sent that millennials are moving to the most boring places in the world story?
That was me.
You sent that over? I have not seen this yet, but this seems pretty fascinating. Millennials are moving to the most boring places in the world. I was trying to guess, because I have not looked at the story yet, what would be the most boring place in the world? Thinking of where would you think that would be? Well, you know the story, Brittany, right?
Which one?
The one I was just talking about.
I'm sorry. I thought the way you asked.
We got no log. We got you going, what am I talking about? We're going to have to rain. We got no guests coming on this show. Things are going really well.
I thought you were queuing me up for a story. Like, the story about me going to Iowa or something. The way you asked, I thought you were going to say, the story about, because you've asked me that millions of times in our life. You know the story, right? About me going to wherever.
Oh, yeah.
That's why I said what story.
No. But I didn't know. You weren't paying attention. You're a disaster.
You were supposed to say, how boring is it?
How boring is it, Tom?
I mean, in Brittany's defense, it's not like she's the one that put this article on the thing for you.
Yes, she is.
It was. Exactly.
Honest to God, Brittany.
I literally thought you're queuing me up for some fun story about you moving somewhere, or like when.
Well, maybe I will.
No,
but I just haven't even looked at the story yet, but I find the headline fascinating.
Yeah.
Like, where would you think most millennials are moving to?
Most boring place would probably be like rural Nebraska or something like that. I mean, it's like, it's temperate, it's nice, but it's also in the middle of nowhere. So it's like, I was originally going to say like rural Alaska, but actually living there is probably pretty exciting with all the, bear attacks and such.
Could be. No, I love the title. That's what I'm saying. I was trying to give you, before you dozed off on me, I was trying to give you a compliment. And then you just totally faded off and fell apart on me.
Faded off.
It was unbelievable. We're going to find out right now. Did you read the story, Brittany? Or just
I read some of it. I thought it was good. I started reading it and I was like, I think Tom would like this. They talk about dinks, dual income, no kids family.
No kids, yeah.
It's remember Doug, the TV show? Their neighbor, Mr. Dink.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah. Always talking about how everything was very expensive.
Really?
That's why he was called Mr. Dink. Him and his wife didn't have a kid.
There you go. Jandra Sutton feels like a lucky millennial. She and her partner were able to sell their house in suburban Tennessee and buy a condo in downtown Nashville in 2019. So it's actually the opposite. They're moving to the cities instead of away from them.
I have a feeling the story is going to end that they didn't like it very much in Nashville.
Oh, maybe. You might be right. Mortgage rates and home prices skyrocketed shortly after that. A few years of suburban living had made the couple miserable, said Sutton, a 34-year-old writer and a content creator. Isn't that the same thing? A content creator is a writer, aren't they?
Well, we're content creators, but we don't write.
I do constantly.
I guess I write descriptions for the episodes, but I don't know if I call myself a writer.
That's true. No question about it. Okay, the closest coffee shop was 15 to 20 minutes away. There wasn't a lot to do in the area, and none of our friends wanted to make the drive to visit us, she says. It was so isolating. They now have 1,500 fewer square feet of living space, one fewer car, and no yard, but they're much happier. They're surrounded by restaurants, live music, parks, and many other third places to meet people and hang out. They're regulars at their favorite neighborhood bar and bodega, where Sutton says we know everyone by the name, and vice versa. The couple could afford to return to the city, in part because they're dinks. Double income, no kids. They won't need the extra bedrooms, pricey daycares, or outdoor space that would crush their budget. Sutton's right. They are lucky. Many millennials hoping to buy a home have kids are being priced out of the urban neighborhoods they've built their lives in. And, that's where they wanted to live, but it's just too expensive now. So a lot of this is a lot about how expensive things have become. Is that part of this major story?
Yeah, I think it's like I thought it was really interesting. Some of these people wanted to move to smaller towns so they could walk to a coffee shop and walk to restaurants and how they can find a lot there.
I feel like this is a misleading headline because
really?
Yeah, it sounds like it's saying the opposite.
It's saying like they moved to a suburb thinking it was going to be great, but they were bored, so they moved back to a city, whether it's a Minneapolis or a downtown-ish whatever area where they can walk and do stuff. So they're not moving to boring places. They want to live in not boring places.
There is it's about a quarter down on the article. It says the youthification trend has accelerated. And I think that one explains the situation.
Youthification trend. Yeah. Youthification of cities and far-flung suburbs. That's what you're talking about.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but go down to that third little paragraph. The youthification trend has accelerated. Cities are getting younger faster.
From San Francisco to Boston, Salt Lake City to Seattle, Austin to Denver. What are they trying to name every place I wouldn't live? Well, except for Boston. I'd live in Boston. The other ones, I'd never live in those cities. No way. But it's not millennials who are making them younger. It's Gen Zers. Gen Z, it should be noted, isn't exactly thriving in urban real estate markets. About a third of Gen Z adults are thought. So what is the cutoff for Gen Z on the top end?
It's like 90. What was it? It's like 95 or 96 to 2010-ish, I think.
Was that it?
Yeah.
Yeah, like 11 to 26-ish.
Yeah, something like that.
Well, but it's from the late 90s, it'd be like the high 20s.
Yeah, late 20s now.
Late 20s now, yeah. Well, that makes sense. It's not millennials who are making them younger. It's Gen Zers. Gen Z adults are thought to live with their parents, and many don't think they'll ever be able to own a home. Millennials, meanwhile, are aging out and getting priced out into suburbia. Recently, the Suburban Jungle Group, a real estate advisory firm that specializes in helping New York City dwellers moved to surrounding suburbs has been getting a lot of calls from millennials freaking out as their lifestyle grows out of reach. It's interesting as I read this story because Catherine and I have done both and loved both.
Yeah.
We lived on a farm out in the country. Absolutely loved living out there in Dayton on the farm. That's where LA Nick lives now, our friend. We've also lived in 20th Street and 2nd Avenue in New York City, but we loved both of them. Matter of fact, I can't tell you a place I did live that I didn't like.
Yeah. The only complaint in my life right now, I love my neighborhood. I love my neighbors. I love the city I live in. I just drive so much because everything I go to is in Minneapolis and St. Paul for work. And so like, I think if I was going to change anything is maybe be like 15 minutes closer or something like that. Like be in a suburb a little closer because I don't want to live in the cities, not because some major thing. That's just not where I want to live, but I would like my drive to not be a half hour every time I get in the car.
No, I understand that because when they decided to move over to the college campus over there, which I never have understood, everybody who worked at 917 North Lilac Drive pretty much lived in the area.
Yeah.
So then when they moved out of 917 North Lilac Drive, they went to the exact opposite side of the Twin Cities. It's like, what are you doing? We bought houses near here because we work here. And now you moved it all the way over there. Why did you do that?
I can't imagine how pristine your life was when you lived in Golden Valley and then it was, what was that, a half mile away your house was from the studio?
No, I didn't work in the studio then. I didn't work in the studio for the last, I'd say 25 years. I was at KQ.
But wait, no, I'm talking about when you were in Golden Valley and worked in Golden Valley.
We had already moved by the time because we moved to Golden Valley in 2005.
5 or 6.
Yeah.
Oh,
5
okay.
or 6,
So
like
you
that.
never got to experience that tiny little commute. Oh my God. I never
Would have been about
knew
a half
that.
mile. Yeah, it would have been about a half mile.
Yeah, because I lived right over there.
And the worst part of it was, they were never there. Matter of fact, I was still living in Dayton when they moved all the way. I had to go from Dayton all the way over to almost St. Paul every morning. And that one was when the decision was made. I'm not doing this. This is ridiculous.
That makes sense. How long of a drive was it from Dayton to St. Paul?
Oh God, what is that? 35, 40 miles?
Yeah.
It had to be an hour.
At least, yeah.
maybe
It was probably
50
close
miles.
to an hour.
Oh, that's
an
rough.
hour drive. And then, of course, my last day I ever drove into the station, I said, okay, there's a sign from God that I shouldn't be driving into work. I'm driving down I-94, and I hear this big boom like that. A woman had jumped off a bridge and right in front of a car.
Oh, my
And
God.
it was right next to me. I was like, oh, Jesus.
Damn.
That was tough to watch because you could, it wasn't only seeing the boom, because you realized something had fallen in your, peripheral vision on the left side. And I'm like, and then everything just kind of locked up because the car next to me locked it up. So I did too. And I looked over and there she was, deader than hell, man.
Oh,
I went, okay, that's enough of this hour-long drive. We're not doing this anymore. Forget it.
that's terrible.
But I still don't understand. Everybody who worked there, most people lived in like Edina or Bloomington or Golden Valley or whatever. Oh, let's move it on the other side of the Twin Cities, shall we? Why would you do that?
It's rough.
And what are you going to do?
It's literally, it would be so rough to know if you built your life around being closer to work and then it just moved. I would be so angry.
I mean, the building was a shithole. Let's not kid ourselves.
Let's not pretend it wasn't, but it's not like, it's not like there's not a lot of office buildings they could have built the studio in.
Well, that's where, like K-Fan, they're literally 2 or 3 blocks from where our house was in Golden Valley.
Oh, really?
So I was right there. Well, where you go to my studio.
Yeah.
In Minneapolis. K-Fan is right next door.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's where it is.
Right now.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. They're literally like the parking lot of when Paul Mercurio was on. He was like, "Oh, I thought I was going to be late," but then we looked at the address and we were in the same parking lot.
Yeah, it's the same parking lot. Exactly.
Yeah,
that's exactly right.
Right across the street.
Yeah, I never did understand why. I suppose it saved them a lot of money or something. It had to be a money thing. Do you think?
Yeah.
because it was not really a good space to have a radio station, or 2 or 3 radio stations, I guess, were in there, weren't they?
Yeah, they have a lot there.
That was.
I love where our studio is now on this show because it's just right on the cusp of getting into the heart of the city. So like you miss that huge traffic all the time. I love sneaking in and out of there.
Yeah, it's how life should be. But yeah, so basically what they said in the story is that millennials tried to live in the suburbs, didn't really care for it, so they moved back into the city. Is that basically the gist of the story?
No, so that's why it was so confusing in the beginning. I had you read that sentence later about them actually moving to suburbia life. So millennials are at that age now where they're like, I'm not going to hit my financial goals or the things I want, are actually in the suburbs. And now Gen Z, even though financially they can't afford the city, they're either have a bunch of roommates, or they're living with their parents, but they are bringing down the age of living in the bigger cities.
Like I always when I was growing up as a kid, I always wanted to live on Lake of the Isles. I just thought, my God, look at that place. I got to live on Lake of the Isles. Never got a chance. Kath and I did look at a house on Lake of the Isles before we built the house at Golden Valley. And that would have been quite the experience. I think living on Lake of the Isles or Calhoun or Harriet or any of them. Beautiful.
Your lake was such a different lake that you lived on in Lake of the Isles. First off, you could have a boat on your lake, which you can't on Lake of the Isles.
Right, exactly.
And then I ran constantly in that whole neighborhood. And there was a lot of fun running and walking past. But what your lake didn't have was a path around the lake.
No, it did not.
Because people's houses went right up to it. So there's a give and take. I would think another thing that would suck, though, and I love Lake of the Isles, getting out of that neighborhood in a car, adds 15 minutes to anything you want to do, because it's like you have to get to a highway, which takes a while.
But then again, you have places like the Kenwood. I love that place.
Oh, Lake of the Isles is amazing.
I know.
I mean,
you ever go to that restaurant, Kenwood?
Of course. I mean,
Love
I had, but a long time ago. No, I mean, that's why there's a give and take, right? Because it was cool that you could have a pontoon on your boat for sure. It was a little more private.
The boat was too big for that lake, though.
Oh, of course it was. I mean, once I saw 2 engines on it, I was like, what are we doing here? I was like, let's get to the other side of the... Oh, we already are on the other side.
We already are on the other side of the lake, so never mind. But, Fawny learned how to drive that pontoon, so it was very educational. That's all I have to say.
And that's, you know what, then it was worth the price. Because if it taught her anything, then...
Right. All right, we're going to take a break. Be right back in a couple of minutes. Kristyn Burt will join us right after this.
This is the Tom Barnard Show. Listen live on the Tom Barnard Show app or at tombernardshow.com.
Is that text you're sending so important that you miss your turn? Is that text you're sending so important that you ran the red light? Is that text you're sending so important you didn't see the ball coming onto the road or the child that followed? Hi, I'm Mike Bryant from Bradshaw and Bryant. When you take your eyes off the road for even 4 seconds, your vehicle travels 100 yards. That's the entire length of a football field. If you absolutely have to text, you need to pull off the road somewhere safe and do it from there. Texting and driving is against the law and can cause serious injury or even death to you and others. Now that is important. We hope you're never injured in a collision, but if you are, please contact us.
Find Bradshaw and Bryant, personal injury attorneys at minnesotapersonalinjury.com.
Going farther with Mike Bryant on your side, seeking justice for the injured. Bradshaw and Bryant.
You know the song Kokomo? It's supposed to be off the Florida Keys, right? Hate to break your Beach Boys bubble, but that's a fictitious place they made up for the song. Fortunately for the rest of us, the Florida Keys island chain are as real as the taxes you have to pay in Minnesota if you're a resident. Now that's a reason to move south. In addition to Florida and all of Monroe County being beautiful, the Keys from Key Largo to Key West are even more beautiful. I'm Bernard, part-time Florida resident myself. And if you want a second house or a new retirement home or want to become a Floridian, may I suggest you contact Matt Carlson from One Key West Realty. Matt grew up in Litchfield. He's a super real estate agent when it comes to finding your tropical island space in the Keys. He lives there and here, and Matt knows what's best in Key West to buy. for your second home in Florida. Matt teamed up with fellow Minnesotan from Sartell and Alexandria, Kristen Eklund, who's one of the top mortgage brokers in the country from Coast to Coast Mortgage. She'll get you the financing you need to buy a home in Florida or in Minnesota. Matt's part of the Lake Sotheby's International Realty Group here in Minnesota, and Kristen, his mortgage colleague, lives and works in the Keys, so they both know the Florida Keys' new and existing homes for sale and are Minnesotan through and through. Contact them by heading to onekeywest.com. That's onekeywest.com.
Jim Paul of Valley Buick GMC has a mutiny on his hands. His sales crew said they've had it brooming snow off the new Buicks and GMCs, then warm them up, move them to plow, and repark them again. He even overheard them cooking up an alternative plan, a sale.
This is crazy. Why don't we just mark them down and sell them?
This is getting real old to be out on that lot in this sub-zero weather.
That's right. Everyone we sell is one less to broom.
I heard we're supposed to get 6 more inches tomorrow.
I'm 5'6". How am I supposed to get the snow off the roof of a pickup?
I'm Jim Paul, and well, car dealers do have all kinds of crazy sales. This idea probably makes more sense than most. There's plenty of inventory, so okay, the crew has decided.
So then it's official. The We Don't Want to Broom snow sale is in full force at Valley Buick GMC in Apple Valley and Hastings. Snowy inventory priced real right at valleycardealers.com.
We are back, ladies and gentlemen, joined by Kristyn Bird Entertainment News, brought to you by North American Banking Company. Go to nabankco.com to learn more. Member FDIC, equal housing lender. I just got a great child lesson that I haven't thought about in a while because Ethan is here, 2-year-old Ethan. Well, he's 2 years and 2 months old now. And I heard him saying my name out there. He just got going, bop, 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 because that's what my grandkids. Fawny started calling me bop, bop. So now all three of them call me bop, bop, right?
Should we be calling you Bop Bop?
You can if you want. That'd be fine with me. But the great thing about a 2-year-old is he's asking where I am over and over. So I hear it. So I go out there. I kind of sneak up, not behind him, but I sneak around like I'm going, do like that. He looks up and he goes, no, and walks away.
That's so funny. That's what Gogo does. If she doesn't want to get, she'll just go no. Like I'll start doing like kind of like jokingly going, I'm gonna get that baby, and I'll be like, I'm gonna. And she'll go, no.
Not right now.
Boundaries. I like it.
Oh,
setting
that
boundaries is a good thing.
But it's well, like I said, with Andy, before you even got here, we were talking about early on the show, having little kids around and learning from other people what it's all about. Well, I was talking about my dad. I learned from my dad not to be like him and be very close to my children and my grandchildren. I absolutely love it. It's the greatest. When a little kid is so excited to see you, it's like, man, what a treat. What a gift that is, huh?
Yeah. That's why I like being the favorite aunt.
Oh, are you the favorite aunt? Are you?
I am. You know what I do? I always like tell my cousins, like send your kids out for spring break and I will take them for, 5 or 6 days and we'll do LA. So much fun.
Oh, the little kids are the best. There's no, they do some crazy stuff. You look over and all of a sudden, I decided to knock that lamp off the end table there. Is that okay? It's like, oh God.
Yeah, no, it's fine. I hated that end table, or I hated that lamp. It's fine. Don't worry about it.
You hated that lamp anyway. Yeah. No, I've never understood people that don't go generation to generation to generation. I mean, what a great thrill that is.
Well, I won't.
So you're never going to have any children?
No, we don't want kids.
You big baby.
Big baby. No, and that's actually a very common trend now. You're seeing a lot more people saying like, hey, we don't want to have kids. And I mean, we were so like outside the box when we were like, well, no, we're not having kids. And most of the people we hang out with don't have kids. We have a couple of friends that have kids, but it's very common here in Los Angeles. I think it's very common in New York City. And it's amazing when I hear other people talking about it. They're like, I can't afford to have kids now. That's the sad part. Because if you want to have kids and now can't afford it, that's hard.
Okay. Well, I just rewrote your intro. You ready?
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, Kristyn Bird, Entertainment News, brought to you by North American Banking Company. Go nabankco.com to learn more. A member FDIC, equal housing lender. And now here's the dink.
The dink. Yes. Double income. No kids.
You are a dink. There's no question about it.
Do you know my cats live a very privileged life as a result?
I've noticed.
We are dinks.
I've noticed your cats have a pretty damn good, and Brittany's cat does not do too bad. The blankie's still up there for the cat if he shows up.
we had chaos this morning. All my stuff got unplugged. So my cat came on his blanket and it slid off and his whole body flopped down here. This was like 7:45 and I was like plugging things back in and he's been mad at me since. So I don't know.
The cat's mad at you now.
Yeah, he'll probably start his shift here soon. Normally he's curled up right there. He's obsessed with now being in this closet even when I'm not in here. So
well, we'll close with this. You know Judy, our dog. Jude, been around forever. Well, Andy, his wife, the 2-year-old, they all come over and they have their own dog as well. And who's to blame for it? Jude comes and sits down and stares at me like, this is your fault they're all here. Mom would never do this to me.
How dare you disturb my peace?
Exactly. Because Ethan does like to go after Judy a little bit. And Jude's like, oh, God. He takes it pretty well, don't you think, Andy? Jude?
Yeah. Definitely
He
better than other dogs.
Yeah.
Oh, God, other dogs would go nuts. What?
I was going to say, I have to be so careful because we have a golden retriever who literally lets Gogo put her whole hand in his mouth and eye. Yeah. And so around other people are like, oh, they can pet my dog. I'm like, no. She's a monster. She has been trained with a human teddy bear or like a dog teddy bear. Do not let her near your dog. She will give it like a dental exam.
Yeah, that's one thing I like about doing this show is because we look at a lot of times the more positive side of things because all the news is so negative now. It's like, oh, God, horribly negative. So to come on this show and talk about the things that we love being our family and our friends and our this and our that. How about a little positivity once in a while on the national news, Kristyn? What about that? A little positivity on the national news.
I just watch like cat and dog videos, except I can't watch the abandoned dog and cat videos, but they make me too sad. But I keep on waiting for the cat universal distribution system to hit me. I take a hot girl walk every day and I'm looking for a stray cat that wants to be adopted and I can like take it on the street. Yeah, because they do that all the time. They're like, people are just like walking around. They're like, look, I found a kitten. And then they like nurse it back to health and it's like the cutest thing. And I'm like, I want to do that.
You just gotta
never find one.
You got to take your destiny in your own hands like I did and foster a cat and then freak out once it gets an application and then acquire the cat. Like you sometimes have to take the distribution into your own hands.
Well, I have a problem because Bill does not want another cat. He's like, we got 2, the zoo is closed.
It's just a foster. It's just a foster.
I know, but he won't allow that. So I figure
just a foster.
But if I find one and I'm like, look, it's sick.
I mean, you don't have to tell him where you found it. That's why I'm like laughing. I'm like, you found it at a foster care. You found it. Like,
I did find it. That's not a lie.
He's probably listening to this. He does listen every morning. So I've just probably blown my cover too.
Your husband listens every morning?
He does.
This is just to your part, though.
Just to my part.
Yeah, there's a shock. Oh, it's all me. More me now.
It still counts.
It still counts.
It's still a download.
He likes to know what we talk about because then he likes to discuss it later on. Have a little debate.
That's good. We could have him on the show once in a while if he wants to be.
Yeah, he could slide on over into the closet with me.
Coming into the closet with Kristyn Burt. Now we're talking. Somebody just walked in behind Tevin over there.
Is that Ralph? Yeah, Ralph's out there.
Oh, that must be wrong. Yeah, I thought I saw something.
It's Tuesday.
Did you notice Kristyn has an upgrade to her setup?
Oh, I did notice. She got this snazzy look going today.
I've actually had them, by the way, for a long time. But the volume has been a little weird. That I can't adjust it on my laptop. So whatever you guys set the sound as, I can't adjust it otherwise. So I decided to just adjust this.
Oh, and Andy reset the levels yesterday. They were too low.
Oh, and they were super loud on my end. My ears were ringing. So I was like,
there you go.
Yeah,
so I was like, let me just try my headphones and see if it makes a difference. And
there was a huge volume disparity.
Yeah. I noticed it. That's why I was like, here are my headphones.
Well, and I think that's where that echo that no one could hear except Tom was coming from.
Yeah, probably.
And I think you heard it too, right, Kristyn?
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that might have been the cause. So hopefully it's fixed now.
Andy, the engineer, came to town, took care of everything. Now we're talking. Uh-oh. There's Hackmaster. He's joining the crowd.
Hackmaster's here. That's how I know it's Tuesday.
That's right.
You don't have your mic on.
Nope. Uh-oh. Say something.
Yeah, hello.
Why is your mic not on?
It should be 6.
There you go.
There it is.
Oh, there you go. No, Andy the engineer. So basically, Catherine. Oh, I didn't want to mention because I think Brittany mentioned the show earlier this morning. Catherine and I watched episode 4 of Reacher season 2. That show is phenomenal.
So good.
It's really good. I don't think I'd like to fight him.
No, absolutely not. There's I forget what season or episode it was, but there was a scene where it was like 4-on-1, and they're like, "Yeah, we shouldn't fight these guys. There's 4 of them and 2 of us." And he's like, "No,
you got this.
My guy got this."
Well, it was so funny because season 4, a bunch of bikers show up to kill them. Reacher and his troop. They show up. Did you see episode 4, Kristyn?
I have not.
It's a damn good show, but they show up and they're all these bikers and they're all threatening and they're all pulling knives and this guns and all this. And Reacher goes, "Why did you come here?" I said, "What do you think the reason we came here?" He goes, "Yeah, but it doesn't make any sense because now I have to kill you." They got knives, they got guns. He's just standing there. Like, okay, well, and by the way, it turned out he did kill most of them. So
I want to know, is Catherine in her action era?
The action era part of Reacher?
because she's watching Jack Reacher, and you guys, what else did you just watch? John Wick 4.
John Wick 4. We watched.
Yeah, she in her action era.
She thought that movie was hilarious, by the way.
That's good.
Because it was so far over the top. And by the way, I'm really glad now that you pushed and pushed and pushed for me to watch that movie for about a year.
Almost a full year. I realized the length of time it takes. But you know what? I think now I'm just going to slide my list to Catherine. I think that's what I'm going to do when I think
Good
you
plan.
need to watch something. Yeah. And just be like, you tell Tom to watch this, or you tell Tom to watch this, not me, because he won't do it.
Here's my John Wick 4 question. What is more over the top, John Wick 4 or whatever the latest Fast and Furious is?
Oh,
Ooh, I would say.
I was going to say John Wick 4, I think.
Really?
There were so many bodies. The body count was huge.
And Fast and Furious, I mean, yeah, they're dropping like helicopters or cars out of like planes and stuff.
Dropping helicopters out of planes.
Dropping helicopters out of
car
planes.
out of the helicopter.
I like it.
Yeah, probably John Wick 4, because he just kills so many people.
The body count was like 1 something. I can't even remember
160.
now. It was 160?
It was 160.
So that's an average of a kill every minute and a half or something like
That's
that?
about right.
Yeah, that's over the top. I mean, come on.
He's really good at that role, though. He is so good at that role. And like I said, I've interviewed him a few times. He's such a nice man anyway. You've dealt with him, Kristyn, have you not?
I have not, actually.
Oh, you've never dealt with Keanu Reeves?
Dog Star.
Dog Star. His
Dog
band,
Star.
That's exactly right. Great guy. He's a very, very nice guy. But I wouldn't think, because he's so laid back in that Reacher. I mean, excuse me, not Reacher, but in the role in his movies, that he just laid back for a reason, because he's so intense that if he acted intense, you'd go, oh, this is over the top and obnoxious. That was a very smart move to make him a very laid back murderer.
Yeah. It all started because somebody killed his dog.
That's correct.
Yeah,
You don't kill a dog.
No, not at all.
Or a cat.
It was a little puppy too, wasn't it? It was a little tiny puppy, if I remember right.
Yeah, it was his new puppy because his wife died or something, and they stole his car and killed his dog, and then he's been on a murder spree ever since.
For the last 10 years or whatever.
I get it, though. I mean, come on. When people kill animals, sometimes I'm like, oh my God, it upsets me even more so than humans sometimes. I'm like, why is that?
Yeah.
No doubt about it. Alex, how are you doing? Alex jumped in.
I jumped right in.
You did.
Well.
You jumped right into it. Everything's going well.
As far as I can tell, yes.
Oh, how'd the snow end up? Do you guys get a ton of snow?
No. Like 2 inches, maybe.
Oh, is that it? Because I know in some areas got a foot. Out in like Pennsylvania, got a foot of snow.
The East Coast got clobbered.
Whoa, did they ever?
Well, Florida has a big storm coming, I saw.
Oh, good.
Literally, honestly,
I checked the weather, but I checked it this morning.
The entire United States is having some just hilariously bad weather this year.
It's freezing here.
I know. What is the temperature now?
I know last night it was like 38, which is very cold for California. Yeah. Let me see what it is right now. 44.
Wow.
In LA.
In LA, it is 44. And just a reminder, we do not insulate our homes the way a Midwest or East Coast home. We just don't have that same insulation. So we have our heat, like it is tropical in here right now. I'm not going to lie, because between Bill and I, we're both weather wimps and it's like 80 in here. But honestly, it gets, if we shut off the heat, it gets bitter cold. And even the cats are like under the covers. They can't handle it. They're also weather wimps.
Well, but I mean, I looked at the map of the weather map of the United States yesterday. There was bad weather everywhere in the United States yesterday.
I think for the next week or so, it's supposed to be like this. I don't think even our temperatures are going back to the high 60s until next Tuesday or Wednesday.
Really, another week.
Mm-hmm.
So is this can't all be El Nino? I wouldn't think.
El Nino is expected to continue until about April.
It is,
if not June.
If not June. Oh, that's great news. So
So
it'll be 40 degrees until June, Kristen. But other than that, you're okay.
Oh, great. Well, you know, El Nino normally gives us really wet weather, and it hasn't. We've had some rain, but not like last winter where it was raining every other day. So it's just bringing in the cold temperatures that, again, we can't stand.
No, I understand that. What were you going to say, Andy?
I was going to say this is probably the longest duration and intense El Nino that there has been in any of our lifetimes.
That I can remember. You're absolutely right. It's been like 6 weeks, hasn't it?
Yeah, at least. I mean,
maybe more than that. Yeah, true. What we'll slog through, but just being around one another with the warm hearts is enough to pull it off.
There you go.
Staying warm here in my closet because I'm with all of you.
Staying warm in my closet. Anything new coming out we should know about, Kristen?
You know, today I was like, I was like, what's coming out today? I'm like, it's a Marvel TV show called Echo on Disney Plus, and I was like, Tom will hate it. So
I used to love I used to watch, well, you know, even when Andy and Alex were young, we'd watch Disney, and it was wonderful and all the rest of it. But it's just, this Marvel thing is way over the top, isn't it?
it is, and they're going to. They know, like Disney knows that they have to pull back on their reliance upon Marvel being a success, not only in TV but also in film, because people aren't going to see the films the way that they used to. In general, people of course, aren't going to the movie theater, so they're going to have to start thinking about other properties. They're going to have to start thinking more about original films, because that really was the theme of 2023. We start looking at the movies that people were really interested in. Oppenheimer, Barbie, Sound of Freedom, all of these different titles. You know, people just they're fatigued with franchises. Let's just put it simply.
Yeah.
And the problem is that movies are planned so far in advance. You know, the movie schedule is planned up to 5 years, sometimes even 8 years in advance. They're going to have to stick to a lot of these movies, but in between, they're going to have to find maybe a smaller indie film, a comedy, a rom-com, something like that to fill in these holes and give the audiences what they're craving.
I would hope so. I mean, some really good movies came out in 2023. There's no question about that.
But the ones that were successful at the box office were few and far between.
Yeah, there's no question about it. So people have just accepted the fact that they're not going to go to the movie theaters as much as they used to.
Yeah, that for right now, that is the current trend. You know, things are always cyclical, and things will come back, and we'll probably see a resurgence at the theater. But the pandemic accelerated what was already happening, and a lot of people don't want to go back because of cost. A lot of people don't want to go back because, you know what? Some people are still afraid of getting sick. We're in the height of like flu, cold, and COVID season right now. They don't want to be around gross people coughing in their face. And then of course the movies are not delivering the way that they used to. And the content level is down too. So it's not like you're going to have an abundance of choices each and every weekend. And I think yesterday we talked about, I said, you know, like those big days of like 10 to 14 screens, those are gone. Those aren't the trend anymore. It'll be smaller movie theaters because the business is smaller.
Well, there's part of that, the fact that we've gotten so touchy about every single word that people say now. Everything's horrible. It's either anti-female or anti-male or anti-black or it's all every word is anti-somebody. So it's got to be tough to write a movie now.
I don't think so, because TV is delivering what people are asking for, and they're asking for diverse stories, and they're asking for original stories, and the movies haven't delivered that. So there's a disconnect, I think, right there. And there were a lot of hints as to what happened in 2023, and a lot of clues as to what audiences are looking for. And if the studio executives aren't paying attention, they're idiots. You know what I mean? I mean, you can see exactly what rose to the top in this past year: Super Mario Brothers and Taylor Swift and Barbie and Oppenheimer. And they're all different and unique in and of themselves.
But the problem is you got 6, 8, 10 to 23 episodes on television, whereas you got one movie in a theater. That's tough competition right there.
It is, if you choose your weekend right. I mean, honestly, that's really what it becomes to. A lot of it comes down to scheduling. And if you notice, when Taylor said, "Hey, I'm coming out with my movie," I think it was October 13th. Am I right, Brittany? Yeah. So it was one of those situations where other movies were like, "Oh, we don't want to come out on the same day," and they moved. They just said, "We're coming out 2 weeks later." Yeah.
I suppose that makes sense. I don't know. There is a lot of great television. I mean, television's the best it's ever been. There's no question about that.
Do you know what's wild? I just saw this. I saw this last night on a TikTok video, and I was like, "Oh, I need to pull up the statistics." And this is from Sportify. They came up with the statistics for 2023, and the top 100 most watched U.S. TV broadcasts of 2023. 93 of them were football. 93.
Really?
Yes. A couple of things that snuck in there. There was one political programming. The Academy Awards slipped in there. The Super Bowl, of course, and a couple of college games.
Well, the big one, Michigan. What was it? Michigan and
Washington was yesterday.
Washington.
Yeah.
How'd that
and
go?
the Dallas Cowboys were the most watched team, with the second most being Kansas City Chiefs, thanks to Taylor Swift.
Oh, it's a thing.
Isn't that unbelievable? That to me is just unbelievable. And just in terms, and the top TV show that slid in there was 60 Minutes, and it was somewhere like 136, I think.
You know what's weird? I didn't even know that show was still on.
It's on before football. It's either on before or after football. Here, it's usually on, I think, after football here on the West Coast, but I think it's,
Is it any good anymore?
amazing. I watch it for segments. If there's a segment I'm interested in, I'll usually wait until the next day and watch the segment, not the whole show.
Yeah, that makes sense. But that was a staple when I was a kid. At Sunday nights at 6 o'clock Central, I think it was, maybe 7 Central. Everybody watched 60 Minutes every weekend.
The little tick 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 tick.
Yeah, the little tick tick ticking going on, and yeah, I mean it's a different world, I understand, but it's got to be very difficult to make movies now that'll draw people in when you can sit in your house and watch whatever you want.
Absolutely. And people have very large screen TVs. They've got gorgeous home theaters, and they can be done for relatively inexpensive. Gone are the days where you'd have that company come in and install your home theater. You can still have that done if you want like the Dolby, Atmos surround sound and built into the walls. But if you want to create like a nice experience for you and your family, you can go down to Costco and build that system for your home. And then you subscribe to a couple of the streamers and you're set to go.
And by the way, those big screens are not that expensive anymore. I was amazed by that.
For a 4K TV. I mean, you go down and you look at the sizes because it used to be like if they were really big, the resolution wasn't that good. It get a little pixelated and things like that. But now the big screens are crystal clear.
They are indeed. So you better make really good movies or nobody's going to go see them. That is absolutely true.
I think there's a little bit of maybe millennial parents that will help movie theaters.
Yeah, maybe.
Because I can't think of the last time we turned our television on. We just don't really watch like shows and movies much at our house. But we went and saw Wonka on Christmas Day, and it was full on Christmas Day, which was
good.
And then the last movie we saw was Wish, was full. And I think and we went with another family every time. And it's like movies feel like a special occasion.
Well, that's what they used to be, Alex. Absolutely. Dinner and a movie was a big deal back when I was.
Yeah, but then it also feels like a special occasion to us and our kids because we don't like have the TV on every day. That's not like part of our everyday is watching a show or a movie.
Yeah,
so
you shoved
for
it
us,
off on me.
what?
You shoved that off on me. Bop, bop. I want to watch something.
Well, it's because you always have the TV on, and I'd rather not have them watch Fox News. So.
Well, how about CNN? You want them to watch that? Because that's a barn burner,
No,
too.
I don't want them to watch any news.
Any news.
You don't want them to be informed?
No,
you don't want your
absolutely not.
Alex.
Ignorance is bliss. Ignorance is bliss.
Oh, okay,
Knowledge is
Alex.
power.
Must be nice.
No, it is. It's great. I highly recommend. Never
But
knowing
TV
anything
viewing, I mean,
going on.
Alex, to your point, TV viewing is also going down. Gen Z, Alpha Gen, they don't watch TV. They watch, if
don't,
they're going to watch something, it's TikTok, it's Instagram, they watch YouTube, they watch videos. And you may, step in and watch one particular series or one particular movie, but the viewership in general, movies and TV, is going to go down. Yeah, movies will be special occasion. And I'm really curious because I know we talked about this in 2023. Pixar is re-releasing Soul and Luca and Turning Red.
I'm so excited.
I think parents will bring their kids to the theater
I
because
100% am bringing not Turning Red because it's a little too old for my kids.
So the reason that people are going to go to the theater is for the kids, that's not sustainable. That's not a sustainable kind of model. If you just have kids movies out, then the real money is going to. I just think.
I'm not saying just kids movies, but I'm saying like I last time I went to the movie theater for like me paying a ticket was Barbie. And all my friends, we went and we dressed up. It's event movies. It's event pictures that people are going to go to. And I think that's what Alex is saying. That's what I'm saying. It doesn't just have to be family movies, but I think it's a good strategy of Disney to re-release movies that got stuck in the pandemic, were only released on Disney Plus, to put them out on the movie screen.
And it's barely any extra cost. I'm sure there was a bunch of extra costs with the getting moved, but it's not like they're creating a new thing. It's just creating a new revenue stream with something they've already made. That's interesting.
Yeah, and like I remember seeing Luca and Soul during the pandemic at home, and I was like, I really wish I could see this on a movie theater screen. Like these movies would both be so beautiful and awesome on a movie theater screen. So I'm so excited that I get.
One thing that I really, really am pissed off about, because when I was a kid, because there are, I think in Minnesota, like 3 drive-ins left in the entire state.
Oh, don't even get me started.
Okay. Well, let me just tell you guys something. If you're 21 years old and there are Long Prairie, Minnesota, where I was born, has 1 of the drive-in theaters left in the state. There's only a couple of more. I know that. No question about it. But here's what they don't understand. I'm in the comfort of my own car, driving into your theater. I hang up the speaker, and then I open the door. I open the trunk and get all the booze out of the trunk and bring it into the front seat.
There you go. I love drive-in theaters.
I did too.
There was one in Woodbury next to my parents' house, and that was like my favorite thing to bring like my friends to, because not a lot of them got to experience it. That is the saddest thing. I would love to take Gogo at a teenager to a drive-in theater. I hate that those are gone.
And why wouldn't people go to drive-ins anymore? What happened?
Here in Los Angeles, we still have a few, and they pop up during the summer. And they also do a lot of rooftop cinema. I don't know if you guys do rooftop cinema.
That's nice.
Yeah, those are really nice in the downtown areas in Los Angeles, which are great. But ours, weather-wise, for us, it's pretty easy to do.
Yeah, right.
Drive-in. So, I think maybe it's the fact too, when you have 4 seasons, the season is limited for drive-ins.
It is.
And we do a lot of, in Minnesota, a ton of like movies in the park type stuff.
Where where
it's like they put a big screen up and everybody just comes to the park. But I will say, it would be nice to like bring my children, and it's like you have to just stay in the car. You can't go running around. That would be nice.
There's an adult element to being in the car, an element of privacy in your car when you go to the drive-in that you don't have on other outdoor experiences. Yes, I can have outdoor experiences, but in the car, there was a lot of necking and kissing going on in the car when the drive-ins were around. But the VCR killed the drive-ins, and I think streaming is going to kill movie theaters. They are gone. They're going to go by way of the drive-in.
Well,
That's
Chris,
too bad.
what is, because you said Netflix has a theater out in LA, correct? Are they doing anything that would be considered revolutionary to the theater industry?
Not yet. I mean, they renovated the Egyptian. Ralph, you know the Egyptian probably very well, which is a historic theater on Hollywood Boulevard. Used to be the companion theater to the Chinese theater as well. They're now
Right.
separately owned, but not only have they restored it, but they're doing a lot of their premieres there. And then they're doing, what I think is kind of cool is that they're taking some of their Netflix TV series and you can see them on the big screen, and they'll do a special night or a special week-long run if they don't have a movie that they're promoting at the time. So I think that there's opportunities to do something revolutionary, but it's wild to me that all of the disruptors, whether it's Amazon or whether it's Netflix, they're like, we're going to get rid of the brick and mortar. We're going to make everyone stay at home. And then all of a sudden we're going to bring back brick and mortar in our own way.
Yeah.
Really?
Yes, absolutely. There you go.
Yeah. We have Amazon Fresh, Amazon Go, Amazon bookstores here in Los Angeles. And there's not a cashier in sight. You literally just scan your app, in and out you go.
God, it was so amazing looking back now that, and you guys are too young to remember this, but there was the France 100 twin, was 2 screens, not just one. There was the France 100. There was a France 100. Oh, excuse me, the France Theater and then the 100 Theater. They were owned by the same company. Both locations had 2 screens. They took up massive land to build all these theaters. And then I think it was the Colonial. I might be wrong about that, but there was a drive-in I think it was Plymouth, Minnesota, out that way anyway, definitely out 55, I believe. It actually had a balcony at a drive-in theater. You could park on the lower level or park on the upper level. It was very cool.
That is cool.
Dad,
It
I
was.
I just want everyone to see a reaction about this very specific movie topic. How do you feel about when people bring their own snacks and drinks into movie theaters?
That's why theaters are going out of business. So I'm not real happy about that. They make
That's
their
why
money.
they're going out of business?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, that's their profit center. That's a huge.
It
profit.
is.
Huge.
The
Popcorn
markup is
costs about 25 cents and then they
Yeah.
sell it for $8. I used to work in a movie theater in college, and I will tell you that people bringing in their own food was like the bane of our existence, because when
Oh,
I would
yeah.
usher,
Yep.
you would have to clean the theater after, and it's not that big a deal to pick up soda and popcorn boxes. It really isn't. You put one in the other and you dump it in the garbage and away you go.
Mhm.
But people would bring in the Chinese food cartons, the buckets of KFC. I kid you not.
Oh, yeah.
And there'd
Oh,
be
yeah.
chicken bones everywhere.
Oh.
Yes.
See, I'm like, I'll bring like a LaCroix.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I will also buy something. So like they don't
Yes.
sell LaCroix, and that's what I
Yes.
want. So I will bring
Mhm.
that in, and then I'll buy a popcorn. Like I
Exactly.
will. It's a combination for sure.
I'll bring in my George Foreman grill and some steaks.
Yeah, there
Yeah.
you go.
It's that. It's those
Generator.
people that ruin the experience. And when you're an usher, you're trying to turn over this theater as fast as possible. It was miserable. When I'd see chicken bones, I'd be like,
Ugh.
That's disgusting.
How gross of a person do you have to be?
Gross. The only
Everywhere.
actual food I've brought into a movie theater is one time I brought in a potbelly sandwich because I was going to a movie and I didn't get a chance to actually eat dinner. And I was like, if I just eat candy and popcorn, I will be so sick. And so I brought in a potbelly sandwich into a movie theater, but I also bought candy.
So that's good.
Well, you're assuaging your guilt feelings. That's what
So-
you're doing. You're not-
Well, but a
Yeah,
movie is
right.
not complete without candy and popcorn. Like,
Yeah,
That's true.
That's like
and by the way, no one wants to smell your KFC, by the way, or your
No.
Chinese food.
Right.
No.
Right.
Yeah,
They
I
are
was like,
delicious
Potbelly- Yeah.
on their own, but not in an enclosed space.
Yeah, I was like, Potbelly doesn't smell. It's just wrapped up. I'm not going to cause any sort of spillage. I think it'll be okay.
Unless it's a tuna fish sandwich. The person that brings the tuna fish sandwich and sits next to you on the plane, you're like,
Oh,
oh,
God.
Or
man."
hard-boiled eggs. Once I sat next to somebody that had a plastic baggie full of hard-boiled eggs.
that's
and opened it up.
insane.
I was
That's
like,
serial killer
giving it
stuff.
away.
That's
it was
ins-
revolting.
I can't stand anything like with mayonnaise anyway. So I'd be like,
Oh, it was rank.
I'd be dying.
Ugh.
Kristyn and I have that in common. I do not like mayonnaise either.
I can't even look at the jar. It's like, it makes me want to throw up. Bill will have mayonnaise and he has to hide it in the fridge. And I'm like, I saw your mayonnaise hidden in the fridge. Hide it better.
All right, we got to wrap this up. My God, we ran a little long, but it was well worth it just having Kristyn around for that extra time.
See you all tomorrow.
We'll see you tomorrow. Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, Kristyn Burt, entertainment news brought to you by North American Banking Company. Go to nabanco.com to learn more. Member FDIC, equal housing lender. We'll take a break here, come right back, wrap things up right after this.
This is the Tom Barnard Show. Listen live at tombernardshow.com or on the Tom Barnard Show app.
Tom here, and I want to discuss a partnership that has been wonderful in my life, Zero Res Carpet Care. Very good friends of mine. Nothing is better to someone with a family than having a completely clean home. Your carpet is the biggest filter in your house. If you want to talk about pet dander or foot traffic, dirt from the outside, they all eventually reside in your carpet. So, Zero Res Carpet Care. Listen, around the holidays, you need to contact ZeroResMinnesota.com or call 952-ZEROREZ. That's 952-ZERO-RES. They clean your home with their electrolyzed pH-elevated water that doesn't use chemicals or soaps that smell like a janitor's closet like other cleaning services. How about a Tom Barnard deal? Well, here it is. Get 3 rooms, zero resified, starting at $129, and don't forget your air ducts. Mention me, and they'll discount your air vents by $75 too. This is for the entire month, so call them right now, 952-0-RES, backward or forwarded, spells the same, or book online, ZeroResMinnesota.com. If it's available, ask for them to come to your place in the Tom Barnard named service truck. What an honor that was, by the way. Just mention me by name and get the special deal to get your home clean and your heart happy. Zero Res Carpet. You need to know a guy for your auto repairs, legal issues, banking, and more. The same goes for investment advice. You need a guy to help you be successful, someone you can trust who gets results. Well, I got a guy for you, Josh Arnold. Josh gives you straight talk, not sugar-coated advice about your financial situation. Josh has seen it all when it comes to economic and market conditions, and Josh can make sure that your retirement objectives match your investments. Do yourself a favor and call Josh now for a no-obligation 48-minute evaluation. You've got nothing to lose, and you'll get a different point of view for your investments. Call Josh at 952-925-5608. That is 952-925-5608. You'll be glad that you did. And tell him his guy, Tom, sent you.
Investment services offered by Josh Arnold Investment Consultant, LLC, a security investment advisor. Past performance is no guarantee of future results. All investments involve risk. All comments and opinions are Josh Arnold's and do not constitute investment advice. Tom Barnard is a paid endorser.
Tom Barnard is back. Every weekday, you'll hear Tommy B, Brittany Arneson. Yes, that Brittany Arneson. Along with Tom's pals Kent Herbeck on Fridays, Bob Sansevier, Mike Stretch Gelfand, Tim Lammers, and from Channel 5 Eyewitness News, Chris Egert and Kristyn Burt on entertainment and pop culture. It's Tom and the crew with opinions on news, opinions on life, opinions on entertainment, and of course, opinions on other people's stupid opinions. The Tom Barnard Show is a podcast, so you can listen when you want to listen. In the car, on the way to or from work, at home, on the job site, or wherever you need your Tommy B Show fix. Hear the show on the Tom Barnard Show app in your app store, as a podcast on Spotify, Apple, or wherever you get your podcasts, or see it on YouTube on the Tom Barnard Show channel.
We are back to wrap things up, ladies and gentlemen. I got to run this stuff by. I've not looked at any of these in this story. Everyday things people do that are super disrespectful, not just disrespectful, but super disrespectful. And people do them all the time, every day, as a matter of fact. Do you have any one that you've noticed over the years?
Bringing food into a theater.
There you go.
Or a LaCroix.
There's the first one. There you go.
Your LaCroix into the movie theater.
Okay. Anybody else? Tevin,
Tom,
Andy?
this is the big one that you hate, is when people don't grab the door for people.
And that drives me nuts. So people are very impolite now, which I am not wild about. And if you do hold the door for somebody to come through, they don't even look at you. That's also, I think, very disrespectful. Not that you owe me anything, but you could be courteous.
Yeah, I hold the door for people all the time, and they always thank me. I think it's because of my kind face.
Well, that must be what it is, because they never thank me, so it must be my crabby face.
Yes.
That's what you're saying.
Yeah. Do you hold the door like this?
Damn it.
Is that what you look like?
That's exactly right. But you know what I've started doing, though, and no one's ever responded? I hold the door for someone. If they they walk by through it, don't even look at me and go, "Oh, you're very welcome." And then they never turn around, though. Never.
I'm sure that helps the situation a lot.
Yeah, they are
Yeah,
so happy that you were involved in their life at that moment.
Well, don't be such an asshole. Then you wouldn't have to worry about it,
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
Okay. Any other guesses about disrespectful things people do every day?
Throw garbage out of their cars.
Ugh,
We
that's-
brought up
Trash you see
I
on
know.
the side of the. I'm like, what are you doing? What is happening? Is really this is what you think you should do with your garbage?
You know, it's funny. We started the show with that today because I went for a walk yesterday and saw 5 different places in the side of the road or in the ditch where people just threw their, fast food wrappers and garbage into the ditch.
It's
like,
so
what
weird.
are you doing?
Like every winter when the snow melts,
Oh yeah,
just like tons
Yeah.
of trash. It's just so weird.
it's everywhere. All right, so now we're going to read the list. Any other guesses before I read the list? Oh, we're good to go. Ladies and gentlemen, now that some places are finally getting ice and snow, it's even more annoying when people leave grocery carts in the middle of the parking lot. As a matter of fact, every time I go to a store that allows people to take the grocery carts to the cars, on the way in, I grab at least 2 to 3 to 4 carts and push them in myself. They're right
I know.
there.
It's so. Sometimes it's like literally right next to the cart corral.
Yeah.
Like it would have
Yep.
taken them more effort to not put it in the corral.
It happens a lot more in Florida than it does in Minnesota.
happens
too.
Okay, yeah, because I rarely see it, and I feel like it's a novelty when I do see it.
Mm-hmm.
And
Do they
you know
do
what?
any takeout carts in Minnesota?
Yeah, oh, yeah. They've
Do
got-
they?
Yeah, well,
Everywhere. That's just-
There are
Costco.
corrals everywhere.
Yeah, Costco's a big one. You have to have a cart to, otherwise, how are you going to bring all that stuff out?
Yeah.
Target, Lunds and Byerly's doesn't.
No, they're
That's
really
the-
weird about it. If
Yeah.
you try
Yeah.
to,
Yeah.
Not
Well,
like-
I don't think it's weird. I think it's good because you don't mess up the parking lot.
no, I said they're weird about it. If you accidentally are like, I'll just take the. They're like, you will not be taking the
No,
cart. You're like,
you-
oh, I'll
Nope.
bring it back. Like,
okay.
yeah, okay. They do not like it. I understand. But you know what, Tom, I noticed too. Like, so I didn't realize this until having a kiddo. You have to like the order of having to do things when you have a young kid.
Mhm.
First, you have to start the car because you want to start it before you put them in there.
Yep.
So you
Yeah.
have like
Yep.
your hand on them as you're starting the car. And then you have to get them buckled in. And then you shut that door, lock it, unload your groceries. And then you go that moment of, okay, I'm going to leave my child and bring this cart. So I would say the one nice thing you can do is whenever I see people with young kids, like even younger than mine, is
Yep.
I grab their cart for them just because like you have
I
this
do
weird-
that all the time.
Yeah, I had an
Yeah.
experience like that at Trader Joe's. So we were putting away our food in our car, and this woman, she had to have been like in her mid 70s. She got done at the same time, and she starts bringing her cart back, and I'm like, "Oh, I'll grab that for you." And she says, "No, you're the one with the toddler. I'll take both carts."
How wonderful is that?
That's so nice. And I think maybe
is.
and maybe my anxiety was more prevalent back then when I had like a young baby or like when I was first. The idea of leaving her in a locked car with that was running was terrifying.
Oh
to me.
yeah.
Like,
Oh yeah.
I know it's weird, but it's like in the winter, it's like you should be
Yeah.
buckled up in the warm car before I go bring my cart in the. Yeah, I don't know. I'm finally now at the point where I'm like, I'll bring my kids to a store and I'll be like, get in the car. I'll be right there. You'll be
yeah. Yeah.
All right. Here's the list. People on social media are talking about the everyday things that people do that are super disrespectful to those around them. And if you did it, put your hand up and don't lie.
Okay.
Abandoning stuff in a store in the wrong place or shelf. If you're too lazy to return it to where you got it, then just hand it to the cashier at the checkout.
I would never.
I would never
hate
do
it when
that.
people
When
do
I
that.
see people do that, I'm like, what is wrong with you?
Yeah, I actually had
Right.
a funny experience yesterday with that kind of thing. So there's at the checkout line, they have all the gum and mints and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
And there's one with Altoids in it. And I'm like, Altoids sound pretty good. I'll just grab a thing of Altoids. So I grab the thing and I look at it and I'm like, Old Spice makes flavored Altoids? No, some asshole just put his Old Spice in the Altoids box.
What?
Yep.
What?
It's like you're at the cashier. Just give it to the cashier and say, I don't want this. Why do you put it in the Altoids box?
Because I think they are worried about inconveniencing the cashier. Like, oh, I don't want to make them go put it back for me. And it's like they're going to have to do it anyway.
Yeah,
in the wrong spot. I know.
Someone's going to notice it eventually.
Yeah.
Brittany and
Number
Tevin
two.
were silent, and Ralph, so they probably have done it before.
Probably.
Well, not Old Spice in the Altoids area.
In my life, have I done it? Yes. Do I make it an act? Have I do it all the time? No. But I'm like, if you really ask me, that my honesty is telling me, yes, I've probably done it once in my life.
I was
will
going to
do
say,
it.
probably when the kids were like really little and things were happening, and I was like, I grabbed the wrong thing. I'm just going to like throw this here. Like, yeah.
Well, it's like sometimes it depends because it's like, you put a box of cereal in the soda aisle. It's not that big of a deal. Someone will put it back. What I really hate is when people will like take meat out and then just put it on a shelf.
That's insane. That's
Because they
serial
can't,
killer.
even if they
No.
see you put it there, they can't put it back. It's
No.
out
Yeah.
of the refrigerated area. They have to throw it away now.
Yeah,
so
true.
No, that's actually unhinged and
that's a
crazy.
really
Like,
awful
you're
thing
talking to somebody who literally won't even like leave stuff in a changing room. I will bring it. I go, I know where it was at. I'll go put it back. So like I have anxiety, but I also know that like there are times I have probably moved something and been like, all right, I'll never do like sorry, bye.
I'm with you, Brittany. I'm sure there's been a time where I do it, but when I go to a grocery store, I'm on a mission. I know exactly what I'm getting. I know what aisles I'm going to. I'm not like wandering around and like, oh, now I realize I got this.
You're not
I don't want
80
it anymore.
I have a question that pertains to this. I feel that in every relationship there is the grocery person that it's like, I am here to get things done and get out of here as quickly as
That'll be
possible.
me.
And then and I'm that way too. And then there's the other person that just wanders around and looks at everything, which is Dan.
Yep.
It sounds like my relationship. I literally
See?
tell her, you're not coming with because I don't want to spend an hour in here. Just
Sometimes we're at Target for like literally an hour. And when I go there by myself, I'm in there maybe 10 minutes tops.
Yep.
Yeah. One day she told me, she's like, we're going to Target, and she grabbed a cart, and I was like, we're here to get like Tide Pods. We don't need a cart. And she's like, no, we just get a cart and we let Target tell us what we're doing. And I was like, that's not how we're doing
I
this.
do love somebody who's down for an adventure, and I have used Target as a destination in times where I like need a social outlet for a little bit.
Yeah, that's like a specific like I am going to Target to
For sure. Yeah.
browse.
Yes.
Not every time though.
No, not every time.
Okay, because that took so long,
Sorry.
we're now going to have to do the other 4 of them on the family show. And Brittany, if you want to stay for the beginning of the family show, you're more than welcome.
Yeah, Brittany.
Because there are 4 more of them.
I'm gonna sneak out because I gotta release. I gotta get Go-Go
Yeah, that's not
downstairs.
unbelievable.
No. You
Spring
have to
Go-Go
do it.
But I
in.
am having a blast. I am having a good time. I would like to stay, but I gotta go release
Well,
the.
You can be one of our first guests on the family show.
Hi, Brittany Arneson.
There you go. Good.
Wait,
All right.
that Brittany Arneson?
Oh, that one? I don't know about her. We do have to break away, but we will cover the other 4 things that people do every day that annoy the hell out of people and they find very disrespectful. We'll be back in just a couple minutes. Brittany, we'll see you tomorrow.
Love you guys. Bye.
Jim Paul of Valley Buick GMC has a mutiny on his hands. His sales crew said they've had it brooming snow off the new Buicks and GMCs, then warm them up, move them to plow, and repark them again. He even overheard them cooking up an alternative plan, a sale.
This is crazy. Why don't we just mark them down and sell them?
This is getting real old to be out on that lot in this sub-zero weather.
That's right. Everyone we sell is one less to broom.
I heard we're supposed to get 6 more inches tomorrow.
I'm 5'6". How am I supposed to get the snow off the roof of a pickup?
I'm Jim Paul, and well, car dealers do have all kinds of crazy sales. This idea probably makes more sense than most. There's plenty of inventory, so okay, the crew has decided.
So then it's official. The We Don't Want to Broom snow sale is in full force at Valley Buick GMC in Apple Valley and Hastings. Snowy inventory priced real right at valleycardealers.com.
Hello, I'm Brad Huckle, President and Chief Lending Officer at North American Banking Company.
And I'm Michael Bilski, CEO at North American Banking Company.
As a locally owned and operated community bank, we work with many multi-generational businesses.
Take Personal Care Dentistry of Roseville, for example. Dr. Walter Hunt, also known as Painless to me, has been a longtime customer of the bank since we opened the bank in 1998.
When his son Kyle was ready to join the practice, they wanted to expand quickly.
With their additional space and equipment, they now are able to see more patients each day while providing the same level of care and service.
Okay, guys, I'll take it from here. If you run a family business or any kind of business for that matter, you should be banking with Brad and Mike over at North American Banking Company. Every time I deal with them or their team, I know I'm working with experienced professional bankers. So why not bank with my banker? North American Banking Company, a better banking experience, member FDIC, equal housing lender.
Is that text you're sending so important that you missed your turn? Is that text you're sending so important that you ran the red light? Is that text you're sending so important you didn't see the ball coming onto the road or the child that followed? Hi, I'm Mike Bryant from Bradshaw and Bryant. When you take your eyes off the road for even 4 seconds, your vehicle travels 100 yards. That's the entire length of a football field. If you absolutely have to text, you need to pull off the road somewhere safe and do it from there. Texting and driving is against the law and can cause serious injury or even death to you and others. Now that is important. We hope you're never injured in a collision, but if you are, please contact us.
Find Bradshaw and Bryant, personal injury attorneys at minnesotapersonalinjury.com.
Going farther with Mike Bryant on your side, seeking justice for the injured. Bradshaw and Bryant.
You have all helped support MyPillow and their employees in these tough economic times. Mike Lindell knows this and continues to give back to listeners with great deals on his most popular products. Right now, you can save 50% on Queen and King pillows and the original My Slippers, and the MyPillow 6-pack bath towel sets are back in stock. The proprietary technology makes them extremely absorbent, yet still provides that soft feel you look for in a towel. Set comes with 2 bath towels, 2 hand towels, and 2 washcloths. Regular price is $79.98, and for a limited time, you can get this 6-pack towel set for only $39.99 with promo code TOM. That's a 50% savings. So go to MyPillow.com, use promo code TOM to save 50% on the MyPillow 6-pack towel sets. That is just $39.99 for a set. This deal will not last long. Enter promo code TOM for this special and many more. Welcome to the family with
Alex Bernard Rasmussen.
Hackmaster Rob MD.
Tevin Pittman.
Mom is doing something
What are
with
you
her
doing?
headphones.
Sorry, my headphones were dead. Then they were so loud, and now they're fine.
Okay, so
Co-host Catherine Brandt.
And Andy Bernard.
we eventually got there. Okay, to explain this to Catherine, we started a story, and then I asked the first question, but the answer to the first question went on for 6 minutes. So we carried the rest of the story over to this show.
So it's a long story.
So I'm just going to read that first one again, but you can you can comment on it. You're the only one who didn't hear it.
Okay.
And then we'll move on to the last 4. Here's the deal. Now that some places are finally getting ice and snow, it's even more annoying when people, go into a grocery store. They leave grocery carts in the middle of the parking lot, and yet they keep doing it just to be jerks, I guess. People on social media are talking about the everyday things that people do that are super disrespectful to those around them. So you got the idea, right?
I sure do.
Wait, I thought we did 2.
We only did one.
Grocery store one and then the cart one.
That's the cart one introduces it.
Oh, so that's just like a,
Yeah, maybe it pops up again. I don't know. I haven't read the other 4.
I see.
I haven't read the other 4, so I'm not sure. But abandoning stuff in a store, the wrong place or shelf, if you're too lazy to return it to where they got it, then just hand it to the cashier at the checkout. Okay, that's the one we already did.
Sure. Okay.
Well, number 2, we'll get everybody's vote on this one. Parents who let their kids run amok in public spaces and don't do anything when a kid makes a nuisance of themselves. The excuse of they're just a kid translates into bad parenting. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, well, I mean, depends on what your line of being a nuisance is.
Right.
Like we've discussed before, you go to the Bluey movie, assuming such a thing exists, which I don't think it does, but
not yet.
Theoretically, you go to the Bluey movie and kids are, running around and dancing and crap in the aisles. You got to expect that. But it's like, you go see Citizen Kane and the same thing is happening. you shouldn't expect that.
Right.
It's a context kind of thing. Or it's
Yeah,
like,
that's
you're
very
in,
true, yeah.
you're at Once Upon a Child, and kids are all over the place. Yeah, that's how it goes, but not so much when you're at I don't know, Men's Warehouse.
True.
Men's Warehouse.
Couldn't think of another clothing store.
And I feel like it's hard too because it's like on an airplane. Dan used to get so upset when our kids would make noise on airplanes because they'd cry or whine or whatever. And he'd be like, we're stuck in this airplane and they can't be loud. And I'm like, everyone on this airplane was once a screaming child. Like, I don't know. I can't do anything about it. We're in a tube in the sky. I don't.
What are you supposed to do? Beat your child?
Right. I mean, crying kid is one thing. Ethan decided to start kicking the person in front of him.
Oh yeah, that's not good.
Doing
that's annoying.
The Liu Kang Mortal Kombat bicycle kick, and we put a stop to that pretty quick.
Perfect.
Yeah, I remember one time I was flying with you, Andy, and you were a little kid, and you would kick the chair in front of you once in a while because you were on my lap. And it wasn't like that kind of kick. It was just sort of, I'm restless. I've been in the seat for a million years.
Yeah.
And the woman was losing her mind in front of you. And she turned around and gave me one of those, looks. And I hissed at her.
Like Tim Taylor in Home Improvement. Yeah.
I did. I was like, I have this little tiny, what do I have? An 8x8 square space for me and a child.
Well, although back then it was more like a 15 by 20 living room you could sit in.
No, not Coach was never good.
Compared to today, it was incredible.
I suppose
it was still bad, but it was
I'm a tall person, and I've always felt really squashed in Coach seats. But anyway, so I was like, there's nothing I can do. I have two people in a tiny space, and you're leaning back as far as you can. And I have a child. So
yeah, the leaning back thing, I never lean back in my seat because I just always feel like, I hate it when the guy in front of me leans back. So I don't want to be that guy.
I lean back a tiny, tiny bit just because it really bothers my back to sit up.
Oh, it bothers my back too.
If you go back like a half an inch, it's not going to kill me.
Half an inch?
An inch.
Just enough.
Well, there's not a lot of room.
The guy that was in front of me on the way down to Florida after Christmas was acting like he felt like his seat should full recline like a lazy boy. Like he would push the button, and I just kept seeing him like,
oh my God.
And I was this close to being like, dude, it's as far as it's going. Like, I don't know what
maybe 5 degrees on these things.
I'm like, is your plan to break it so you will be laying in my lap? What do you
plan?
Why are you doing this? Have you ever been on an airplane? Can we help you with something? It was very
maybe he thought that if he broke the chair, they'd bump him up to first class.
Maybe.
Maybe it's possible.
You know what?
I don't know.
Okay. Any other comments on kids running amok in public spaces before we move on?
Yeah, on an airplane, if the kids are going to do stuff in the seat because there's not much room, but they shouldn't be running around on the aisles.
Well, no,
but that's what they're talking about, where they're running up and down in the aisles.
Oh, I let my kids run up and down the aisles, and they were toddlers. Yeah. I was with them, and I was just like, they got to move. I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, you can't just let them loose.
Yes. Oh,
some people just turn them loose.
Yeah.
Oh, well, Sage, when he goes to the bathroom on an airplane for 2 years, I have to go potty, and then like Dan when one of us would try to walk with him, I need privacy, and then he would just go,
oh, okay.
And we were like, what's he gonna do? Like what? We will watch him go into the bathroom, and he'll be in the bathroom, and then he'll come back. I'm like, he can't go anywhere. But he didn't cause any problems. So
yeah. I remember one time we were in Duluth, and I brought Sage to the bathroom, and there was a woman in the next stall, and Sage was being very particular about which stall he went into and how it was going to work. And I said, do you need help? He says, no, I should do it myself because I don't want anyone to see my penis. And the woman in the stall was just cracking up with the conversation. And then it went on and on about the penis.
On and on.
While he was peeing. It was quite spectacular.
She's a chatty one, that Sage.
Exactly. Any other comments before we move on to number 3? We're good? Number 3, neighbors who don't respect the quiet hours, especially after midnight. I would never put up with that. You make a noise after midnight, you're going to get a call, a knock on the door from me. It's like, no, it's midnight. Shut up.
I agree. After
Right?
midnight, even after 10, you should.
I was going to say after 10 o'clock.
I mean, unless it's well known that you're having a party and you've invited
Yeah.
absolutely everybody. Because we used to have neighbors that when the kids were in the backyard just playing at 2 o'clock, it was just too much for them. They just
It
couldn't
was,
handle
yeah.
2 o'clock in the afternoon kid noise. They're screaming. They're screaming. I'm like, they're children? It's 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Shut up.
So Andy and Alex, you'll be happy to hear that the guy that used to scream at you now has not 1 but 2 walkers. So there you go. He's paying the price.
Walkers.
He doesn't have 2.
Like he's dual wielding them.
Yes.
Full surround walker apparatus.
Yeah, 1 behind him and 1 in front of him.
It's like one of those the
toddler
kid, the
things?
toddler things. Yeah.
And by the way, he's still a raging prick. So just so you know,
Good for
he
him.
was. Those 2 were such a-holes. It was
I don't think I ever
unbelievable.
met them.
You're lucky. Oh God.
No, I was aware of them, but I don't think I ever met them.
Yeah, I don't ever remember actually meeting them. They were just like a part of our life that we did not like.
Well, that was another, not that I've gone through that many battles with people, but if you want to battle with me, I'm going to battle back.
Well, you like to battle.
If somebody starts, if somebody engages, yes, I will battle back. Yep.
So my quick story on that before we move on, unless somebody else wants to comment on this. Those same neighbors that we had knock at the door, and the wife, who's from France, is there. He said, your children are making far too much noise. They're making all kinds of noise, and they've got to quiet down. This is like at 3 o'clock in the afternoon.
Yeah.
And by the way, they're in a swimming pool.
Well, they were elderly and they took naps.
Yeah, well,
This
good for
is
them.
true.
Okay, so she comes over and bitches about that, and Kathy goes, okay, I'll tell them to quiet down. About 20 minutes later, knock at the door again. Your kids are still way too loud. You're going to have to calm them down even more. We just cannot listen to that noise all day long. And Catherine, well, it's not all day long. They just got in the pool and they'll be out in a couple of minutes or whatever. About 20 minutes later, knock at the door. Catherine opens the door and says, get the F away from my door. Only she didn't say the
I will
F.
not confirm nor deny that that was true.
She used the entire F word, not just the F. I will tell you that. But the woman was way out of line. 3 times in 40 minutes.
Yeah,
and it's the middle of the day.
Yeah, and I know too much noise. It wasn't too much noise.
It was not too much noise. She was just being a pain in the ass. Typical French fry is all I got to say. Hey, there, Ralph's also.
Wow.
Ralph's very. Oh, you know what, Tevin? We're gonna drag the Hackmaster into our conversation from earlier today because he's French.
That's right.
Yeah. Oh, are you?
Yeah.
Sorry.
So we'll get back to that after this list because we only got 2 left to go.
Okay.
Number 4, drivers who just hang out in the left lane driving slowly. Ooh,
against the law.
It is against the law.
Minnesota and Colorado.
But what is slowly?
Yeah,
though?
that depends. Because some people think 10 miles an hour over the speed limit is slowly.
Exactly. If I'm like 75 in a 60 mile an hour zone because everybody's speeding, I don't feel, and the guy all of a sudden comes up on hanging on my bumper because he wants to go 85.
That's not your problem.
I don't feel like I'm.
No.
If you're in the left lane and there's a car in your mirror, move over.
The thing that's annoying
simple
about
enough. Then get back over. You
Right.
want to need to be there.
the thing that's annoying about that though is when we go to like Dan's aunt and uncle's cabin. It's a 2-lane highway situation. You go in the left lane, everyone's going 18,000 miles per hour and they're tailgating you like crazy, even if you're going 75 and the speed limit's 60. Right lane, everyone's going 42 miles per hour.
Yep.
So it's like if you want to drive in the right lane, you have to just constantly be going in the left lane to pass everyone in the right lane. And if you're in the left lane, everybody's constantly tailgating you and acting like you're stopped. And it's very annoying.
So you guys are finding so far 4 out of 5 have been very annoying.
No, wait a second. No. Alex just said, Alex just said that she thinks that she should be able to be in that lane and go whatever speed they want, even though someone's tailgating her.
No, not whatever speed I want. I think that it should just be like if you're going 10 miles per hour over the speed limit, you should be able to be in the left lane.
Yeah, but that's
I would hope so.
But then if there's room and everyone's driving a normal speed, I'll go into the right lane. But a lot of the times, the right lane, everyone's going at whatever leisurely pace they feel.
If I'm passing, then I don't feel bad about people behind me.
Yeah.
Well, that's
sure.
big.
Passing the people on my right,
Yes.
then I'm passing. That's how it works.
That's what I mean. I stay in the left lane as long as I am passing everyone on
There
the
you
right.
go.
If I'm
That's
driving the
easy.
same speed as the people on the right, then I'll go into the right lane.
God, a very quick experience when 394 used to be Highway 12, right back in the day. I'm driving and I'm doing the best I can. It's very crowded out there. And a guy behind me starts honking at me, and I got nowhere to go. There's somebody right in front of me. There's a guy to my left. There's a guy to my right. He's just honking and honking and honking. So I gave him the tap of the brakes. Then he starts honking. He goes really nuts. He's going, all right. So then the traffic on the freeway pulls to a dead stop. It was so packed that it pulled to a dead stop. And I'm sitting there. The guy behind me is glaring at me. The guy to my left gets out of his car, walks over to me, and hands me a metal pipe and goes, "Good luck." Goes back to his car. He wants me to beat the piss out of the guy with a metal pipe.
Yeah, he wants you to go to jail.
He wants me to go.
He's mad. He's road raging. He wants you to take the fall. Nice.
Did he say Tony the Tire Iron sends his regards?
Tony the Tire Iron, exactly. I will never forget that. He gives me a tire iron to beat the piss out. It wasn't a tire iron; it was a pipe. Beat the piss out of the guy.
Ooh, that's a little organized, if you ask. If you know what I mean.
You know what happened? Because traffic slowed down again about another half mile away. I got out and gave it back to him because I didn't use it. So I gave him his
Glad
pipe
you didn't
back.
use it.
Well, it would have been fun.
Well, see, that is I mean, I don't know when when did it happen where everybody decided that it's okay to just latch onto your bumper,
Oh,
even
yeah.
if you're in
I
a
know.
30
Yep.
mile an hour zone and there's children.
It feels like
present.
it got really bad during COVID.
Yes.
Like all of a sudden got super insanely bad during
Because there wasn't a ton of traffic, so people just felt like
Yeah.
they could drive whatever speed they
Mhm.
wanted, I guess.
Yeah, because I get tailgated and when I'm in a 30 mile an hour zone and and there's a red light ahead of me and somebody's tailgating the
Yep.
crap out of me. I'm like, where are you gonna go?
When people tailgate me, I slow down.
Yeah,
just
good
out
move.
of pure spite.
Yeah.
Pure spite.
If I don't have the kids in the car.
You know, a real problem area is in Las Vegas on there's a freeway, a 215 freeway up through Summerlin. And I have a sports car there and I will drive 10, 15 miles an hour over the speed limit as an old person in the absolute right lane, in the right lane. People will tailgate you in the right lane and pass you in the other lanes going 80 to 100 miles an hour.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I-95 in Florida is the same way.
Yeah.
God, yeah.
And
it sure
Okeechobee
is.
Boulevard, that's full of lights.
Okeechobee is either they're going 20 or they're going 120. Nothing in between.
Nothing in between.
There's nothing in between. Okay, final question. I haven't seen this one yet, so it should be interesting. People who park in designated spaces that don't pertain to them, the accessible spaces for people with disabilities, or curbside pickup spots.
Oh, I see that all the time at Target.
Do you really?
Yeah, somebody's in the pickup zone and they're nowhere to be found.
Well, but that's against the law.
I don't think it's a law. I think it's a policy,
Well-
store policy, isn't it?
You're gonna hate me then, because the only one I won't park in is if it's like a veteran, disability, or like the expecting mothers one. But like Target, they have 20 curbside whatever things, and if I know I'm going in there, I'm gonna be right back out. I'll just park in one of them, run in, and run right back out because they're all empty anyway.
Your car, I'm keying.
Put the mic a little closer there,
Oh,
honey.
sorry.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Great to be here.
I'm used to a headset.
Yeah, on a curbside pick. I don't do that. I whatever. I just go to find a space wherever it is. I do not park and stuff. Although one time, I think the reason I don't do that is when Catherine and I used to live in Minnetonka. What's that? About 35 years ago.
Yes.
I ran up to the Super Value. Remember the Super Value used to be right there?
Oh, yeah.
And I had to go get something, and she, would you guys go up and get? So I ran up there, and I really didn't pay attention to what I was doing. And I parked the car, and I'm going in, and the guy walking next to me goes, "Man, you must have a pretty bad disability," because I didn't notice it, but I had parked kind of sideways, So not only took up space in one, but two handicap parking
Oh,
spots.
okay, great.
Wow.
Yes, I have two disabilities, so
Yes,
I get two spaces.
Exactly. I was like, oh my God. So I went back and reparked my car. I said, sorry, I was in such a hurry. I didn't even know what the hell I was doing.
I know, and I have such a guilt complex with everything. When I was dealing with my dad, who really was in bad shape, and I was bringing him to the eye doctor all the time, and in this parking ramp in Edina, by the Lund Spirallies there, the indoor one.
Mm-hmm.
Is the only place I could really get him in and out of there, out of the elements. And there were a bunch of handicap parking spots, but I didn't have the sticker. I mean, I was clearly dealing with a handicapped man.
Right.
But I felt so bad about it. I would park there. I'd get him to the door, and I was like, I hope he can stand for 10 minutes while I go find another place to park. I would move the car because I don't know. I just felt bad because I didn't have the hanger, the little handicap sticker thing.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. I just noticed something. I was sent 5 more of these. Do you want to save those for tomorrow, or do you enjoying yourself? So you want to continue on?
Blast through them.
We should
Power
blast through.
Mm-hmm.
Powering through. You like them?
Yeah.
Okay. Number 6. Oh yeah, this I cannot stand. Not flushing the toilet in public restrooms.
Yeah, I don't get
that's
why
gross.
people don't do that.
Well, yeah, who's not perturbed by that? Like, why? Of course.
Well, like, why not just do it? Well, I guess
flush
it's
the
because they're
toilet.
all automatic now. So people
I think a lot of
expecting-
people, yeah.
Yeah, when I leave, it'll flush, but then I guess it just doesn't always flush.
If you don't hear it flushing, go back in and flush it.
I know, but
You
I
would
remember
think.
one time I was traveling a bunch, and everything was automatic. The train, you didn't ever have to turn on a tap. You never had to open a door.
Uh-huh.
Everything was automatic forever.
Yep.
I remember when I got home, I was sitting there in my own bathroom with my hands under the spigot, waiting for it to turn on.
What's wrong with this?
I'm like, what's happening? Oh yeah.
I'm at home. Never mind. Number 7, people who don't clean up after themselves in a communal space like a break room, a park, or even a fitting room.
Oh God, yes.
I constantly find clothes in fitting rooms that they just don't bother to bring back out. Just
Well,
leave the clothing in there.
Well, and the thing about fitting rooms is like people just treat it like it's their bedroom.
Yeah,
They
they
just take
do.
their clothes off and leave them on the floor and stuff. And it's like, oh, well, they're paid to pick up after me. I worked retail, so I remember like people in fitting rooms of friends, and they would just leave clothes everywhere. And one person would be like, you should hang your stuff back up. And the other person would be like, well, she gets paid to clean it up.
Oh God, that's disgusting.
It's called job creation.
Yeah, job creation. I'm helping the economy.
Yeah.
Wow.
Like
Yeah,
whenever I try stuff on in a fitting room, I hang it back up just as it was.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I fold things.
Wow, I can't fold or hang, so I make an attempt, but it's always pathetic.
Not great.
No.
Okay. We got number 8 now already. People who just stopped walking in the middle of a busy place like the airport, just move over to the side. No, they stop right in the middle of the aisle.
Yep.
See that? It can be cultural.
Really?
Yes, it can be very cultural. There are certain cultures that if you think that if they're standing on the sidewalk having a conversation and you think that they should move, they would think you're the rude one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
No, wait a second. No, we're talking about stopping, not standing and being there. If you have, it's a bit like basketball, and charging and things like that. If someone's there, we're talking about someone who's walking and it automatically stops. Suppose you're going down the escalator, someone stops at the bottom of the escalator.
Well,
There's the problem.
That would be bad.
Indeed. Number 9, people who tailgate when you're driving or at or above the speed limit.
Yeah.
You just talked about that.
We did just talk
Sure
about
did.
that. You're above the speed limit and you're still getting tailgated.
Yep.
That happens a lot on Okeechobee.
Yes, it does.
A lot.
It does.
Sure does.
And the final one, ladies and gentlemen, people who cough or sneeze in public and don't cover their mouth. I could never do that. I go,
Yeah.
Jesus.
So
You shouldn't work in a second grade classroom.
Or people who spit in public as they're walking down a sidewalk or something.
Ew.
Yeah, that is.
Ew.
I've hated that since I was a little
That,
kid.
No,
used to be a question
Home
on the
run.
MMP.
It was, yeah. MMPI. 555 questions.
Yeah.
Yep, it's
Yep.
true.
It was, wait a second. It was a question on the MMPI.
Does it disgust you when you see somebody spitting on the
Yes,
sidewalk?
it absolutely does.
I don't know what I don't know what that meant or what they were trying to find out about you, but yeah,
Hmm.
that was one of the
Don't know.
questions.
What does this say about?
When I am running, the amount of spit that I see
Yeah,
on
it's
the
gross.
running trail, because
Really?
you get kind of like ugh running
Yeah.
sometimes, like everything's just kind of like ugh, and so a lot of people spit, and I'm like, I can understand going off of the trail and spitting off of the trail, well, where people are not walking in the grass. Off of the trail, but people just spit right like as they're
Yeah,
running
they do.
on the
They
trail,
do,
and
yep.
I'm like,
It's
I'm
like you a horse just
exactly.
wrapping your waist wherever you are.
What is the matter with you? I don't want to have to dodge your
Mm-hmm.
gunk. Anyway, I have to go. Speaking of
Oh,
dodging,
that's right.
All
You got to
right,
get
then.
going.
On that
There you
note-
go.
On that note,
Well, we
Outta
wrapped
here.
it up with the sidewalk thing, so that's good.
such
was
a
the
lovely thing to leave you with.
yeah,
It was
Parting gift.
magnificent. All right, we'll see you later, Alex. Doc, I got to ask you this question because I forgot what it is, but I think I kind of remember when I took the MMPI years ago because I was working at the Q back then. Question number 92, I want to be a butcher.
All right, then.
Is that what it is? It's something like I want to be a baker, a butcher, something like that.
is that
Or
even?
candlestick maker.
Butcher,
Yeah.
yeah.
No, I mean, did they use that
Oh,
MMP?
apparently,
Oh,
yes. Apparently
Really?
they do.
555 questions.
MMPI number 3 was just released in 2020.
Okay, what's number 92 on the list?
I don't know if you can
I don't
access
think they
you can't
that.
access
I don't
the
think they
list.
want you to pregame the questions.
No, I don't think you can access that without
How not to be a psycho on the
Yeah,
MMP.
really.
On the MMPI.
What's-
exactly.
those.
One of the interesting things about applying to medical school is that neither the MMPI or the Myers-Briggs are administered. So there is absolutely no personality or no psychiatric screening for people who are being admitted to medical school.
Well, things like the MMPI, it's just like it's so easy, I would think, to pretend not to be a psychopath on that kind of thing. Because it's always like, oh, if I saw a puppy on fire, I would help it, true or false. It's like,
Yeah, but
if you want to trick someone into thinking you're not evil, you would say true. It's
Right.
pretty obvious.
but the
Well, there-
sitting on the sidewalk question, what is that? I mean, that's kind of like it
I
might
guess it
have
dep-
deeper meaning.
Well, yeah, that's the thing. It's like you could interpret that in many different ways. And it's like, are the people writing the test saying that being disgusted is good because it means you're like a clean person? Or are they saying it's bad because you're a judgmental
Yeah,
person?
intolerant.
Because
right.
so it depends on the people writing the test,
Right.
what they think of things like that. And that's the kind of thing I don't think should be on a test because it's too subjective.
No, but that's the point. They're looking for inconsistencies on that test.
Yeah, there is that.
And part of it is validating the test as well. So if you're a psychopath and you're doing your best to try to answer the questions in the appropriate way or non-appropriate way, to prove that you're not a psychopath or don't have psychiatric issues, what happens is there are inconsistencies in your answers from topic to topic that they use.
Oh, yeah.
Say, well, that didn't work. Well, maybe we should take this again. So there's ways. That's how they use that information. It's a bit like standardized testing. If you take a standardized test for board certification or things like that, there are questions on the test that are impossible to answer, and they are used as checkpoints on the test to validate the test. Say yes, this test was fair. Yes, it was genuine, and that's how they use that sort of thing.
What is it? Minnesota Multiphasic Personality Inventory, right? MMPI.
Yeah.
Yep.
Sure is.
I remember one time Andy and I walked into a Target and they had a job kiosk. They're like, we need helpers starting at whatever. And I'm like, Andy, you should just fill out a form because I think you were 15 or going on 16 or something. So we sat down and looked at the application, and it was so many questions about, so if you knew that another associate wasn't doing their job correctly, would you talk to the associate? Would you ignore it? Would you work harder to cover the associate's bad work? Or would you report to a supervisor? And I'm like, I don't know what these people want. Do they want to suck up? Do they want somebody that takes charge? I don't know what they want. I have no idea.
That's very true.
And I thought that was a lot of questions for somebody that it was a starter job, beginner job, no experience, no training. I thought that was kind of
Yeah.
It was a lot of those kind of questions.
Well, back then, those used to be all the rage, is those personality tests, trying to filter people out.
Yes,
Every place had their own personality tests.
Yeah, because as an employer, if you know that, okay, as a manager, this is my management style. I don't want to have an employee that's going to run to me with every little thing. So now maybe somebody that answers are going to come to me for everything. I don't want that employee. Where somebody else is like, I'm tired of, all my employees running amok. So I want somebody that's going to come to me.
Right. So how do you know what the situation is? Right. That's what I thought it was subjective as well.
All right, we can close out this part of it and get to Ralph being in trouble right after this. Top 5 everyday things that aren't technically disrespectful, but sure feel like it. Okay.
Disrespect is perceived, is it not? So, I
Right.
mean, there's no like objective definition of disrespect.
No.
Or technically. That's right.
Whoops.
It's like if you have illicit sex outside your marriage and you're using a condom, technically you're not touching the woman or the man.
Oh,
Yeah, exactly.
So,
well, Tevin's eyes just lit up. I'll tell you that.
That's a hell of a
That's a hell of an
hell of an
argument.
example. Yeah.
Okay, top 5 everyday things that aren't technically disrespectful, but sure feel like it. Nobody at work notices your new haircut. When you order $20 at Taco Bell and they give you 1 sauce packet. Well, I thought you grabbed those yourself. Don't you? They have them right on the counter. Not drive up.
These
that's
days,
true.
they just fill a garbage bag full of those and give
Yeah.
it to you.
Yeah, that's about it. Number 3, the little silica packet that says "Do not eat." They consider that to be disrespectful. I don't think you eat silica.
Because you're
Well, they're
so-
saying like, if I'm an adult, you don't have to tell me not to eat it.
Yeah, and
Well,
if
that's
I'm
true.
young enough to not know better, I can't read the words "do not eat."
Yeah.
Probably
So-
true. 2 to go. When an employee at an expensive store asks if you're lost, that's cool.
Do you need help, Ben? Do you need help?
You don't belong in here. What's
shouldn't
wrong?
you be back on the bus?
That's terrible. It's very disrespectful. I'm deeply hurt by that. And finally, when it's raining and the dog decides to take forever to poop.
Yeah.
Jude. Jude.
Oh, I remember there were times. Remember the polar vortex we had 6 years ago,
Yes.
or however long ago that was.
Yeah.
Daisy just sitting outside for 15 minutes shivering because she refused to go to the bathroom. -20 out. She could just do it and go back inside, but nope, she'd rather sit there and suffer
Well,
and
you
make
know,
me suffer with her.
Interesting.
just didn't. Who wants to poop when it's 20 below zero?
Where our German Shepherd, she was taught to train on command, or to poop on command.
Oh, really?
We just told her to poop, and she pooped or peed.
Not
Jude's
Daisy.
usually pretty good.
Problem solved.
I mean, Daisy's not bad about it anymore, but for some reason, when she was like adolescent, I think it was like a rebellion kind of thing.
Yeah,
Oh.
It's
probably.
like, we're both going to freeze here to death, so I don't have to just do what you tell me.
I remember sitting outside when Jude was being trained in the pouring rain. And he was just like, nope, not going to go.
Yep.
Not happening. Okay. We're going to face this international problem. It's been around for about 20 years because we have a young black man and a young French man in studio. And here's the argument. And I don't remember who the guy was. Andy, I think maybe you knew who it was that decided about 20 years ago that the word picnic was racist because he said it was invented by white people who would take picnic baskets to watch black people be slaughtered and hanged. Which I don't know where he ever got that because that's not at all where the word came from.
No, it's not. But that's what was going around on social media. And like every couple of years it resurfaces and people are like, can you believe that we're using this word still?
Well, it seems like
just came up again.
Yeah, it seems like 5-6 years ago there was like a big thing about banning words.
Yep.
I think we've kind of stopped.
I don't know if we
doing that a
stopped.
little
Well, and I
bit.
remember like people saying you can't use the term rule of thumb because the original rule of thumb was you can't beat your wife with a stick thicker than your thumb.
Yeah.
But completely made up.
It was made up. Yeah.
That was made up.
It's
It
not
was
true
made
at all, but that's what everyone learned.
Well, like this one. Picnic is a French word. Actually, in France, it's 2 words. It's Picque, Nique. picnic. It's a French phrase, French word, has nothing to do with race at all.
That's right. They did not have racial executions there. They executed a lot of white people.
Oh,
they
they
might
sure
have been, they were
Maybe it's racist that way, Tevin. What do you think? I'm the one who's
now you're
upset.
happy. No,
Now I'm upset.
that makes no sense because they didn't have slavery in France, and they've been integrated because they had invasion from Moors and from Africa, and so it's sort of a mixed race culture there. If you look around.
So it's a ridiculous statement to make. Why do you think it is that people need to stir the pot and cause trouble by saying things that just are not flat out not true?
Because they can write an article and the clickbait can be picnic is racist, and then people will click on it, and all of a sudden everybody knows who they are.
Well, like here's an instance where Tevin just pushed me into something extremely racist. I did look up that football player's last name from yesterday.
I didn't bring that up. That was you.
Joe from Louisville brought that up.
Oh,
Somebody brought it up.
I thought it was Kostaki.
It was Joe asked me to ask Kostaki about it.
But that guy's name, his first name is Noah, and so there's been a lot of jokes about I Noah.
Yep.
Oh, is that what it is? His first name is Noah, so I Noah.
Yeah, that's the first thing I thought of when I read his name.
Yeah, his parents definitely did it on purpose.
I still think it should be pronounced Kanijah. There's nothing wrong with the name Kanijah, is there?
Yeah, and I thought I saw somewhere where it's pronounced like not like it looks, but I don't know.
That's what I had heard, that it was not pronounced that way. It's just kind of spelled that way. What kind of name is it, first of all? Does it have a
I think they said it was Ukrainian, I believe.
Oh, it's Ukrainian?
I believe.
The name is spelled Knigga, and it's his real last name, apparently. Where does he play football?
Apparently, he made a TikTok saying that it's pronounced Kanega.
Yeah, it's Kanega.
Oh, it is.
Which is not really that much better, but
I suppose that's true.
Mispronounce it even slightly, but still, it's hey. At least I can say it now.
There used to be names like that people got rid of that were, in other cultures, whether it's from South America to North America or East to West or whatever the situation was. But
also the weird thing is there doesn't seem to be any evidence of this surname existing outside of this specific person.
Correct. I looked up the same thing. No one else has that name.
Yeah, they say that there is one Kanega family in the entire United States. So they must have changed their name when they emigrated here from something else.
Well,
why change it to that?
Yeah, if I moved to like China and I found out that, some racial slur in Chinese was pronounced just like my name or last name, I'd probably make a decision to go with something else.
Definitely.
Well, yeah, when I was born, my name was Tommy Honky, so I changed it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? There's no. I wonder about that, though. I had never, ever seen anything like that name appear before. I'd never heard of a name like that before. And for there to be only one person from the Ukraine to move to the United States, did they just make that name up?
I think it's a made-up name, yes.
I do, too.
Someone at some point made up a name.
It was the early 1900s when that name appeared, right?
1880, apparently.
So that was before that word became.
Oh, no. That word was very popular long before.
Well, I don't know. Without with the A ending, it might be.
Well, that would be probably like people from England would say it that way. I don't know. They don't hit the R's too hard in England.
That is
like
true.
They would say Hackmaster.
That's right.
We're talking to the Hackmaster.
There's a lot of Asian names that are like, you knew a Rich Jew.
Yeah, I sure did.
Yeah, Rich Jew. His name, his actual real name was Rich Jew, and it was spelled Jew.
Yeah. So, I mean, yeah.
Yep.
It's just going to happen.
He went to high school with you, didn't he?
That was ISM.
Junior high.
Oh, so junior high.
Middle school.
Okay.
Yeah.
Middle school, whatever it was.
We called it middle school. I don't know. Some people call it junior high, and some people apparently there's a difference too.
Middle school, I think, is 7th, 8th, 9th.
That sounds right to me.
And junior high is, I think,
other way around. Middle school is like 6th, 7th, 8th.
6th, 7th,
and junior high 7th, 8th, 9th.
Okay, there you go.
Oh, and then you got high school at 10, 11, 12. That would make sense.
I had a childhood friend whose last name was Kiker.
Oh yeah, Kiker. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which it didn't even register to me when I was a kid. I was like, well, that's his name. But these days, I don't think I'd want to have that name.
No, I'm pretty sure there's an NFL player that was really, really good. That Luke Keuchel, I believe, was his name.
Yep.
Well, Keuchel is Hebrew or German or one of those words for circle.
That's right. And that was I was told by Hal Sloan, who was president of his synagogue in LA, that the word the slur kike was origin of Ellis Island, because a lot of Jews that came across were illiterate, and they had to sign something, and they would always ask them to say, well, just make an X, but they looked too much like a cross. They were sensitive of that, so they said, can we make a circle or keikel? And they would call people keikels because they would make a circle. So that's how that sort of stuck. It's just the reality of that situation. I don't think it's derogatory necessarily. I mean, you don't use it, but it's one of those things that's, there's other terms that are far more insidious than that.
That is true. Yeah, every slur generally starts with something that is not a slur. It'll be like a nickname or something like that, and then it'll kind of get out of hand, it seems.
Yeah, that's pretty much the deal.
Has anybody read anything about that tunnel under that synagogue?
No. Where?
Isn't it? I think it's in Brooklyn.
Why is there a tunnel under a synagogue?
Nobody seems to know what's going on.
It's a French
very
catacombs?
strange. Apparently, they started digging it during COVID, and the cops were trying to figure out what this whole thing. Chaos ensues as NYPD tries to fill in secret tunnel in Chabad HQ synagogue.
What the hell is that all about,
I guess
Andy?
there was like a little. There was a huge problem in the tunnel.
Well, yeah, you can't just dig tunnels. That the structural integrity of buildings above you becomes a problem at that point.
The cops are trying to fill it in.
Yeah, you're not allowed to just dig a tunnel on land that is not yours.
Is that in the city?
In downtown
God.
New York City. Yeah.
Oh God, that's a bad idea.
Who did it?
They don't know.
Who excavated it?
Apparently,
I thought it was the Shabbat.
they don't know why anyone dug it or who did it. It was done within the last couple of years. And apparently it leads to an abandoned ritual bath. So like someone dug this tunnel, put a ritual bath at the end of it, and then abandoned it.
Yeah, but the videos were showing the ultra-Orthodox men rioting and damaging the synagogue, pulling down wood paneling and throwing prayer benches at police officers.
Why?
Who knows why anything happens anymore?
Well, everybody's so pissed off because everybody's in such a horseshit mood now. Everybody's angry about everything. I mean, that's the way things are now. Everybody's a very high level of anger.
Well, according to one of the spokesmen of the synagogue, he said, some time ago, a group of extremist students broke through a few walls in adjacent properties to the synagogue to provide them unauthorized access. So basically, people broke into the synagogue by like tunneling into it, and then they started filling it in.
Why can't they just go in the front door?
I don't know.
Okay.
None of this makes any sense.
Well, I will tell you this. When I was a kid in North Minneapolis, the Catholic churches, the Lutheran churches, and the synagogues all left their buildings unlocked.
Yes.
You could go in their buildings anytime you
you're
want.
Supposed to be able to pray anytime you wanted, but then people started stealing things.
They started stealing everything in sight, so that was the end of that.
Yep.
But, what are you going to do? It's just, it's a weird deal. Why would you dig a tunnel in New York City? How is that ever a good idea?
Well, during Prohibition, I'm sure there's a lot of tunnels that we
yes.
don't even know about.
Oh, there are, yeah.
And I know that there are some abandoned subway tunnels that people live in.
Yeah.
And have figured out a way of getting into those. And I know all those were sealed off, but
See?
people still live in them.
That's all you need to know. All right, we got 3 minutes left. Any other subject you want to broach while we still have a few minutes? Anyone?
Yeah, people still live in the homeless live in the tunnels underneath Vegas. All the rainwater drainage tunnels that have been constructed to avoid flooding in Las Vegas. They're living down in there. So people well, of course, it's nice and cool. It's same temperature all the time. Pretty reasonably safe, but still.
Except for if it rains.
Yeah, except for when you drown.
Don't be in there when there's a bad rain up in the mountains.
Yep,
it's coming down.
Could you ever fall asleep in a dark, wet tunnel with a bunch of people you don't know?
Well, I'm not on heroin, though.
If you're high enough, yes.
It has to be. There's no way I could do that. I'm going to fall asleep and trust you. Yeah, I don't think so.
Oh.
But there is a huge trust among that culture. That they got to trust each other. Otherwise, there's
I suppose that's true. All right. Anything else?
Nope. I don't think so.
Works for me. That's good.
No giant bugs in Miami today, so we're all good.
Glad to hear it. No question about it. All right. We will talk to you tomorrow. Thanks for listening, and back tomorrow.